Hello everyone, if you're new to my channel, consider liking and subscribing. It will make me feel wonderful if you do that. Thanks. By the way, I also have another Naruto and Luffy fanfiction channel. If you are interested, link is in the description.
Chance to Start Over Again by Kalokagathia. Luffy's dream came true, but what's the meaning of accomplishing his dream without his Nakama around? So he's going to go back and start over. Time travel, what else? I don't own anything. Member list. Taz Peterson, Yonko. Leilani Morris, Warlord. Garrick Russell, Warlord. Black Money _ Young Lion, Warlord. KSG PL4 YZ, Warlord. Adios.
Roronoa Zoro. Tashigi shouts at Zoro while Luffy and Sanji looks at her. Luffy sighed, knowing Sanji would fawn over the girl. Sergeant Major Tashigi. The Marines yell in surprise mixed with happiness, but Tashigi's attention was only the one in front of her. I will not let you get away. I will defeat you and become stronger than you, Tashigi shouts as she grips her shigure tightly. You bastard, what did you do to that lady? Sanji shouts in anger as he turns his head to Zoro. Never thought you were a Marine, Zoro says quietly as he unsheathes only one sword and clashes with Tashigi. Go on ahead. Luffy nodded and said nothing. Suddenly, Luffy wraps his arms around Sanji's waist, which surprised Sanji. Oh oi, Sanji says, but when he looked towards Zoro and Tashigi, he had a tick mark on his head. That brute dares harm a lady. Let's go, Luffy says as he speeds up. But how can I talk to Smoker this way? Luffy slowly removes his arm in Sanji's waist so that he can talk to Smoker later. O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O. The waves are crashing higher and higher. Are they still not back yet? Nami asks as they've successfully retrieved Going Merry by using Usopp's certain kill fresh egg star to Richie and Moji. Apparently, Going Merry didn't blow up because of the rain in the air. Still no sight of him. Usopp pauses. I wonder if they're alright? Usopp asks as he looks in the distance worriedly. O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O. Sanji, go on ahead. Luffy says as he sees Smoker waiting in the distance. Another one, Sanji says as he nods. Luffy clashes with Smoker with their arms as Sanji goes ahead. Mugiwara. Dragon's here. Smoker whispers as Luffy nods. The two ran to the opposite direction of Luffy's ship as they attempt to lose Dragon. Finally, after losing Dragon, the two was quiet and the tension was so thick it could be cut. Mugiwara, how much can you take? Finally, Smoker asks as the two's eyes were shadowed. What are you saying? I can defeat Mari. Luffy was cut off by Smoker's jeet placed on his neck. You know what I'm talking about, Mugiwara. Smoker says as he cuts his cigarettes by his teeth. After a long tension and silence between them, Smoker grits his teeth again and doesn't attempt to take another cigarette in his jacket. You don't know, don't you? Smoker says as he takes off the jeet that he placed on Luffy's neck. I don't know how much I can take, Smoker. But I don't want my Nakama to see something terrifying that's hidden in me. Luffy replies as Smoker takes a cigarette on his jacket. This isn't the same timeline where you can kill Marines anytime, Mugiwara. And this isn't the same timeline where almost all of the Marines are afraid of you. Smoker says as he puffs out smoke. You have to keep everything inside. Luffy sighs. I know. But since I have the chance to see my Nakama again, I can handle everything. Luffy says as Smoker looks at him. Keep your words, Mugiwara. I'm not always there to stop you. Smoker says as he gives his number and walks towards outside. Luffy slightly smiles as he stands up. Bye, Smokey, Luffy shouts as he immediately leaves like the wind. Smoker stops as his eyes were wide. Smokey, huh? Smoker says as he grins. O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O. That's strange, the two didn't look like they were fighting. And Luffy's presence feels like it was being hidden. Dragon quietly thought as he couldn't feel Luffy anymore. I have a strange son. Dragon quietly says as a gust of wind came and he disappeared like the wind. O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O. Luffy, Usopp shouts as he keeps the rope stable. Hurry up. This rope won't hold for much longer. Zoro, Luffy, and Sanji manage to come together towards the ship. Nami Swan, I'm back, Sanji shouts as he does the noodle dance. What took you so long? Hurry up and get on board. We're setting sail immediately, Nami shouts as the wind was blowing the ship. O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O. Forgive us, sir. Because of that sudden gust, the buggy pirates have managed to escape. The Marines were cut off by Smoker. I'm continuing my pursuit for Straw Hat. Take out our ship, Smoker says as he passes the Marines that were bowing and apologizing to him. Another Marine asked why. I'll go to Grand Line as well. Smoker says as all of the Marines' jaw drop. What? I'm coming too, sir, Tashigi says as she was wet in rain. I swear I'll bring Roronoa Zoro down with my own 2 hands. Tashigi shouts in determination as she was horribly beaten in a fight by Zoro. But sir, this town is under your jurisdiction. What will the higher-ups say if they hear you? Abba? The Marine was cut off by Smoker's scary look. You can tell them this, don't order me around, Smoker shouts in anger. O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O. The ship feels like it'll flip over. Luffy says in excitement, despite the dangerous waves. Nami looks at a certain lighthouse. You see that light over there? Nami asks as Luffy grins and nods. That lighthouse is known as the Light of Guidance. Nami pauses. The entrance to the Grand Line is just ahead of that light. Nami smiles, so what shall we do? Don't you guys think that entering Grand Line in the midst of this storm is a bit? Usopp shakily says as his whole body was shaking, even his nose. So we've reached Grand Line, have we? Sanji says as he takes a barrel. Well, this calls for a celebration. Sanji shouts as he places the barrel in the middle. To find all blue, Sanji shouts as he places his foot in the barrel. To become the Pirate King, Luffy shouts as he grins and places his foot. The others followed. To be the greatest swordsman, Zoro. To draw a map of the world, Nami. TT to become a brave warrior of the seas, Usopp. Off to Grand Line we go, all of them shouts as they break the barrel. I won't let this chance slip away, Luffy thought as he sees the smiling faces of his nakama. The entrance to Grand Line is a mountain. Nami says as all of the members are in the lounge. There was a storm brewing outside. Apparently, the light that was guiding them went off, but it was no problem for Nami and the others. A mountain? Usopp says in disbelief as his head tilts over to the left while his arms were crossed. Exactly. I had a hard time believing it myself when I looked at the map, but look, Nami says as he places the map down for everyone to see. The light of guidance was directly pointing at Reverse Mountain located right here on Red Line. Does that mean we had to crash through the mountain? Usopp asks as Nami shakes her head and points a place where it was on the edge of the Paradises line. No, there's a waterway right here. Nami responds as Usopp's eye widens and starts to imagine going merry climbing a mountain. A waterway? That's crazy. Usopp pauses. Even if that waterway really is there, there's no way a ship could climb up a mountain. But that's what the map says. Nami says as she takes the map and waves it in front of Usopp. That's right. As if Nami Swan could ever be wrong, Sanji says as he defends Nami. But isn't that the map you stole from Buggy? How dependable could it be? Zoro says as he looks at Nami. In the first place, why do we even have to enter directly through the entrance anyway? Couldn't we just head directly south and still enter? No, we can't, and there's a perfectly good reason for that. Nami shouts as she sighs. Actually, we can. And there's also a perfectly good reason for that, Luffy says with a very mischievous glint in his eyes and in his grin. Everyone looks at him. Nami's eyes widen in horror though. Wait, guys, the storm suddenly stopped, Usopp says before Nami could retort to Luffy. Hey, you're right, Sanji says as he peeks at the window. What? That can't be, Nami says as she turns. That storm should have directly led us to the entrance, Nami adds as sweat is visibly seen on her face. O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O. Wow, such a nice day. I wonder what happened to the storm, ha 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 ha. As the others talk, Nami's eye widens in horror again and she gapes. Oh no, Nami shouts as Luffy laughs while he leans on the mast. We've entered Calm Belt. Calm Belt? What's that? Hey, look. Even though the storm's still going on over there, it's perfectly calm over here. This is no time to be standing about. Go grab the oars and start rowing as fast as you can. We have to return back to the storm immediately. Nami shouts as she starts barking out orders to everyone. But the weather's so nice here, Zoro says as Nami points at him. Fine, then I'll give you your explanation. Right now, we've drifted south exactly as you suggested doing, Nami shouts as Zoro raises an eyebrow. Oh, so we're in Grand Line now? Zoro says as he looks in the opposite direction. If it were that easy, anybody could just come to Grand Line whenever they wanted, Nami shouts while it looks like she was venting her anger. Listen, the Grand Line is surrounded by 2 ocean belts. And those 2 windless belts known as the Calm Belt are exactly where we're stuck in right now. Calm, eh? Sure seems that way with no wind and all. So, what's your point? Zoro asks as he looks at the area. The point is THAT, before Nami could continue, the ship was shaking. Ah, is this an earthquake? But we're out in the open seas? Usopp shouts as he was shaking. Luffy's arms were crossed and he had a crazy grin on his face, and even the ship was shaking. His body stayed still while the others had trouble doing so. When all of a sudden, large fishes, and what I meant by large, is that the ship isn't even 1/4 of those fishes, raised up and now the Mary is in the middle of one of those fishes' head. Nami, Sanji, and Zoro made horrified faces while Usopp is ready to faint. This place is a den for sea kings, Nami says as she held in the mast for her dear life while her tears fall. The big ones, especially, Nami adds. Luffy, who was unusually quiet, makes a laugh from mute to a very loud laugh. Everyone looks at him like he was crazy. After his laugh, Luffy makes a grin that made everyone shudder. Looks like we'll have tons of meat, Luffy says as he jumps in the railing while he looks at everyone. While I fight, start rowing. Magically, Sanji, Zoro, and Usopp have paddlers in their hands. Aye aye. The three yells and starts rowing as Luffy fights and makes the poor sea kings into sashimi so that it could fit later on. Finally, everyone got out in the calm belt and went back to the storm. It was only seconds, but in that seconds, Luffy got tons of sea kings and even helped the three to paddle their way in the storm by boosting them. Luffy did it so that it could ride on time like a long time ago. Oh thank God, we're back in the storm now, Usopp says as all of them are currently face planted in the ground. Now do you understand why we have to use the entrance? Nami says as she sighs. Luffy laughs lowly and secures the meats by ropes and locking it on the mast. Yeah, Zoro says as he leans in the mast. Understood, Zoro adds as he smells the meat locked in the mast. After a minute of silence, except the sounds the storm was making, Nami places her two hands in the ground and stands up. Ah, I got it. What? Zoro asks as he peeks in his arms to look at Nami. We really are going to climb up the mountain, Nami says as Zoro gives her an unimpressed look. You still going on about that? Zoro says as he was enough of the climbing stuff. It must be due to the sea currents. If strong currents from each of the four seas were to all head towards that mountain, Nami pauses, then they would drive the water up the waterway. And at the very top, the currents will merge and come out to the Grand Line. Since we're already riding the currents, all we have to worry about is steering properly. Nami explains as she makes the image in her head. Reverse Mountain is a winter island, so the currents that hit its edge will travel down the bottom of the sea. So if we fail to enter the waterway, we'll crash down and get dragged down to the bottom of the sea. Got it? Nami Swan, you're amazing, Sanji shouts despite the current storm going on. Never heard of a ship going up a mountain before, Zoro says as all of them stands up. I've heard a bit, Sanji says as he looks at Zoro, who also looked at him. About the mountain? Zoro asks as Sanji smiles. No, but I've heard things about Grand Line. Sanji pauses. Supposedly, half of the people died just trying to go in. Entering it is no easy task. I see the mountain, Luffy shouts as he grins and looks at the mountain as he holds to the railing and leans over it. Wait, what's that huge shadow? It's huge, Usopp yells as his jaw drops. So that's the red line? Sanji asks as he looks at the mountain, well not the whole mountain. I can't even see the top because of the clouds, Usopp yells as the mountain was so huge they can't see what was on the top of it. Get a good grip of the rudder so we don't get dragged down under, Luffy shouts as Sanji and Usopp holds the rudder. Just leave it to us, Sanji and Usopp yells as they tightly grip the rudder. Amazing, Nami says as she looks at the mountain in awe and fascination. I can't believe it, the ocean is, Zoro was cut off before he could finish. It's the entrance to the waterway, Usopp yells in fascination. Really going up a mountain, Zoro continues like no one interrupted him. We're veering off course, turn a little to the right, Luffy shouts as he runs towards Zoro and gives him his straw hat, much to the surprise of Zoro, but nonetheless, he held it tightly. Right. Turn to starboard, Usopp yells as they turn to the right. Because of so much force, the rudder broke. And at that time, Luffy holds his breath. We're gonna crash, Nami yells as her tears were falling. Gomu Gomu, Luffy quietly says as everyone looks at him, balloons self rapidly through his mouth, and turns into a balloon-like person and bounces the ship so that it could get into the right course. After Luffy deflates himself, Zoro automatically stretches his hand to Luffy's impossibly stretched hand and helps him get to the ship. After that, it was silence, not the same time where they celebrated. All of them had their jaws on the ground, even Zoro who helped him. Zoro comes closer to him and looks at him in the eye and gives his hat back. Explain. Devil fruit. Gomu no mi. Rubber fruit, Luffy says casually while he wears his hat again. There was a pregnant silence before everyone's jaw dropped more. You had a devil fruit, all of them yelled as Luffy laughed at their faces. Yep, Luffy says as everyone's face turned to their funny ones. Why didn't you told us sooner? All of them asked as Luffy gave them an unimpressed look. Because you didn't ask, Luffy says before he looks at the adventure that was right in front of them. I can see the Grand Line up ahead. All of them got over it quickly as their excitement electrifies through their body. All of them grinned and looked at the same direction Luffy was looking at, full speed ahead. Suddenly, they heard a strange noise. Did you hear something just now? Zoro asks as he crosses his arms and looks around. I wouldn't be surprised if that's just noise from the wind. The terrain here is quite odd after all. Nami says as she looks at Zoro. Once again, the strange noise was heard. What's that? Usopp quietly says as he uses a strange contraption that was around Usopp's left eye. Nami Swan, there's a mountain up ahead, Sanji shouts as he points to the so-called mountain and looks at Nami. A mountain? Nami asks as she looks at Sanji. That can't be. Once we pass the Twin Capes up ahead, we should reach the open sea. Once again, the strange noise was heard. After a while, all of them, except Luffy, had terrified faces. That's no mountain. It's a whale. All of them yelled as the whale, Bua, D them. What do we do? Should we fight? Usopp yells as all of them was panicking. Are you kidding? How the heck are we supposed to fight something that big? Nami yells back as she has a very funny angry and mixed with fear face. But it's blocking our way, Usopp shouts back. We're too close to see anything. It looks like just a giant wall. Sanji yells as his cigarette was still okay after all the winds and storm. Ah, that's right. Maybe the whale just hasn't noticed us yet, Nami shouts as she searches where the eyes are. Well, if we don't do anything soon, we're gonna crash. There's an open space up left. Zoro pauses as he points at the space, turn portside. But the rudder's broken, Usopp yells as Zoro clicks his tongue. Well, we've got to do something. I'll come help too, Zoro yells as he follows Usopp towards the rudder. Nami felt like someone was missing. Someone important. Where's Luffy? Nami yells as everyone stops and looks everywhere. Did Luffy ran away? Usopp shakily asks as Zoro punched the back of Usopp's head. Are you stupid? Even if Luffy ran away, there's no place he can hide or go away. And Luffy isn't that kind of person in the first place. Zoro shouts as he defends Luffy. Where the hell are you in this crucial time? We're gonna CRASSSSHHH, Nami yells as all of her colors left her body. Luffy's special seat breaks as it hits the whale's body. It almost hit Nami's face. Good thing that she ducked. Oh god, I almost died just now. Then the whale's eye was at them. All of their color left, they were like a sheet of paper. Suddenly, the whale opens its mouth and the ship was getting sucked in along with the water. What do you make of this? Sanji slowly asks as everyone was completely safe. Usopp was totally baffled. What do I make of this? Zoro asks, completely unsure what to say. Yeah, what's your explanation for this? I could have sworn we were swallowed up by a whale, but Sanji pauses as he puffs out smoke. Are we just dreaming or something? Zoro gulps, unsure of the answer he was going to give. Yeah, this has got to be a dream. Then, what's with that house on that island? Sanji asks as Zoro looks at the house. It has got to be a dream, or they're already dead. Must be an illusion, Zoro answers as there was silence. Then what about this? Sanji asks as a giant squid came up the water in front of him, his face completely calm. It's a giant squid. Nami and Usopp shouts in fear as they get away as quickly as they can. Zoro and Sanji were ready to fight when all of a sudden, a spear-like weapon killed the giant squid. Seems like there's a person here, Zoro says as Sanji slightly grins. Let's hope it's a person, Sanji says as sweat was visibly seen on the two's face. By the way, where did Luffy go all this time? Usopp asks as he and Nami were on the floor, crying. I've had enough, I want to go home, Nami says as she whimpers in fear as the giant squid was slowly being dragged into the house. O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O. A ship, are they a friend on yours? Straw Hat? A person asks while Luffy comfortably sits on a chair. Yep, it's a flower, Sanji yells as he points at the entrance of the house. A flower? Zoro yells in disbelief as he flinches in surprise and looks where Sanji was pointing at. Wait, no, it's a person, Sanji shouts as he takes back what he said. What's with him? Usopp quietly says as he looks at the person. The person has an appearance based on the flower with the same name, as seen with the petals around his head. He has a rather stocky and muscular body, is bald on the top of his head, but with white hair with yellow flower petal-like things, that have purple near the bottom of them, and a white beard that splits into two parts. His lower lip is noticeably larger than his upper. He wears a pink shirt with a yellow and green stripe with purple circles in the yellow along with bluish-gray shorts with sandals. He also wears glasses, a seaweed necklace, 3 gold bracelets, and a green gem bracelet on his left wrist. He also has a scar on his left arm. That old man took out that giant squid with one blow, Usopp shouts as he stares at the old man. Was he just fishing or did he do that to save us? All of them gulps as there was a long uncomfortable silence considering the person was looking at them, at Sanji especially. There was so much eye contact between them Sanji can't handle it anymore. Say something, Sanji yells as the old man only sits at his beach chair, takes a newspaper yet still looking at them. If it's a fight you want, then you've got one, Usopp yells as he points at the old man. We have a cannon on our side. Don't, or someone might end up dead, the old man finally talks as Sanji slightly grins. Oh, and just who would that be? Sanji carefully asks as he puffs out smoke. Me. The old man calmly says. You, Sanji yells in anger with a funny angry face. Is this guy playing with me? Now, don't get so worked up. Zoro says as he stops Sanji from beating the guy into a pulp. Hey old man. Would you mind telling us just who you are, and just where this place exactly is? Zoro says with a calm expression. That Gramps thinks he can make a fool out of me, Sanji says quietly as he grits his teeth in anger but doesn't cut his cigarette. It's common courtesy to introduce yourself before asking others question. You know? The old man says as he looks at Zoro straight in the eye. Oh right, sorry about that. Zoro responds as he was ready to talk. My name is Crocus, the lighthouse keeper of Twin Capes. I'm 71 years old, a Gemini, and type AB blood. The Crocus says as Zoro gets a tick mark in his forehead. Nobody minds if I kill him, right? Zoro yells as he looks at everyone and was ready to take out his katana with a funny angry face. Calm down, Sanji says as he places a hand on Zoro's shoulder. You're wondering where this place is? You first trespass in my private resort and then start mouthing off with that attitude. Does this place look like the stomach of a mouse? Crocus shouts as he remains his calm facade. So then we really must have been swallowed by a whale. Usopp shakily says as Nami widens her eyes in surprise. What do we do? I don't want to be digested, Nami shouts as she was panicking. If it's an exit you want, it's right over there, Crocus says as he points at a huge gate. You can get out of here, Nami, Usopp, and Sanji yells in surprise. Why is there an exit inside a whale's stomach? Usopp adds. And how is it that a door's floating in the sky? Nami asks as Usopp has an imaginary light bulb on the top of his head. No, wait, if you look carefully, the skies, the clouds, Usopp says as he looks at the surrounding, are all just painting. Usopp says as Nami widens her eyes. The inside of the whale's stomach has been painted over. That's just my way of having a good time, Crocus calmly says as he looks at his newspaper. Just what the heck are you doing in here anyways? Usopp yells in anger as Zoro places a hand on Usopp's shoulder. Just leave him be. We found an exit, so let's just get out of here, Zoro says calmly. Suddenly, the whole place shakes tremendously. What's that? Nami yells as all of them tries to not fall. So he started again, has he? Crocus calmly says as Nami looks at Crocus' place and widens her eyes. Look, that's no island either. It's a ship. An iron one at that, too. Nami shouts as she points and sees that underneath the soil was iron. So then this ocean is actually stomach acid. If we stay longer than this, our ship will be dissolved. Usopp yells as he turns to Crocus. Hey, what's going on? Give us an explanation. This whale has started bashing his head against the red line again, Crocus says in a serious demeanor. What? Both Sanji and Zoro yelled in surprise. Now that he mentioned it, I remember that whale's forehead was covered in scars, and he was bellowing in the sky. Nami says as Usopp has a hard time catching up. What does it all mean? Usopp asks as Nami has visible sweats in her face. It means his suffering, Nami shouts as she pauses. I got it. He must be trying to kill this whale from the inside, Nami shouts as she looks at Crocus. What a nasty way to kill something, Usopp says as he was nervously looking at Crocus, who was exercising for some reason. Well, if the mystery's been solved, let's leave already. We'll be dissolved if we hang around any longer, Zoro says as Sanji puffs out smoke. That's right. I don't have anything against whaling and it's not like we're obligated to save this whale, either, Sanji says as the whale bellows loudly. Hey, if this whale keeps on rampaging like this, it's going to be hard to even reach the exit, Usopp shouts as the waves were getting stronger and stronger. Well, if we don't hurry, our lives and Luffy's will be in danger, Zoro says as Sanji reminds me of something important. Where's Luffy? Sanji asks as he looks at Zoro. As if on time, a certain straw-hatted man came out of the house. Flower Asen, I'm gonna do something else, Luffy shouts as he stares at everyone and waves at them with a grin before walking to the other side. Everyone's jaw was literally on the ground and their eyes could have fallen out in their sockets. Luff why? Everyone shouts as Luffy ignores it. Slowly, Luffy uses Geppo into a small door at the side of the giant gate then enters in it. Everyone was completely surprised and couldn't talk. Until the old man jumps in the stomach acid. Ah, that old man just jumped in, Usopp yells as he points at Crocus jumped in the acid. What's he trying to do? He's gonna get himself dissolved, Sanji shouts as Zoro is looking at the small door. He's swimming towards the exit. We should hurry up and make our way to the exit before the whale gets any more violent, Usopp says as Zoro nods. We've got no choice but to row, Zoro says as he looks at the small door once again. Luffy, why did you have leave us that time? Were you testing us? Okay, Miss Wednesday. On the count of 3, 2, 1 baby, I'm opening the door. So don't lose your focus. A young man who wears a golden crown on top of his red hair and has a number written on his cheeks. He wears a green suit with white lace along with a ruffled red scarf says, His attire makes him look like a prince or a king, but he isn't. Roger, Mr. 9. Ready when you are. A young woman that has long blue hair, with 2 bangs hanging down, one on either side of her head. She has her hair pulled back into a ponytail. She is also very slender-bodied, having long thin legs and arms and prominent large breasts. She says as the two has guns ready. Mr. 9 was about to talk when all of a sudden, the door was opened by a straw-hatted man. Wah. Both Miss Wednesday and Mr. 9 yelled as the straw-hatted man grinned. By that time, Miss Wednesday has her eyes wide open. El Luffy ni. Miss Wednesday thought as Mr. 9 pointed a gun on Luffy. Miss Wednesday did the same, yet she was hesitant on it. Now, I can't let kids play on guns, it's dangerous, Luffy says without twitched as he was called a kid. Why you, Mr. 9 was about to shoot when all of a sudden, Luffy takes Mr. 9's arm and takes the gun away, and on the process, he places Mr. 9 on his left shoulder and does the same on Miss Wednesday. Oh, let us go, Mr. 9 shouts as he attempts to get away and squirms in discomfort and nervousness. How about a no? Luffy playfully says as he turns around and goes away with the two. Miss Wednesday, on the other hand, was pretending to be angry. O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O. Luffy. Zoro shouts as everyone looks at Luffy, who is using Geppo to get close at them. There are 2 other weirdos in Luffy's shoulders. Zoro adds as there were gasps that followed. Hey, that old man's running away, Usopp shouts as he points at Crocus. Don't mind him, for now, I'll explain some things. Luffy shouts as he places the 2 on the deck with a grin. O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O. The whale bellows loudly and bangs his head at the red line. Stop it, Laboon. Crocus says in his thoughts while he was holding a large injector, stop hurting yourself. Crocus adds in his thoughts. I don't have much sedatives left. Looks like I need to go make some more. Crocus injects the sedative and the whale bellows loudly in pain. That wall before you separates the oceans of world. You won't be able to bring it down even if you keep on bashing it until you die. Crocus quietly says as he was visibly sweating, so please stop, Laboon. O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O. So, you went into the whale's mouth the moment it bellowed and used this technique called Geppo to create a safe landing, Sanji asks, more like to confirm what he just heard. Yep. Luffy says casually as he was amused that Sanji was asking him while fawning over Miss Wednesday, or should I say. The whale seems to have calmed down. Nami says as everyone notices that the bellowing and shaking have stopped. Well, just who exactly are you guys? Usopp shouts as the 2 flinches. Mr. 9, these people are pirates. Miss Wednesday whispers to Mr. 9 while secretly glancing at Luffy, who was looking at the meats that were locked in the mast. Why yes I know, Miss Wednesday, but they seem understanding enough. Mr. 9 whispers back. I won't let you lay even a single finger on Laboon, for as long as I live, Crocus yells as Miss Wednesday and Mr. 9 looks at Crocus. If only we have our guns right now, Mr. 9 says as he curses in his breath. What, so then, he's been protecting the whale, Nami says as she was surprised. Why is that old man? Usopp slowly asks as all of them except Luffy was surprised. What's going on? Nami shouts as she has no idea of what was happening. O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O. This whale is an island whale, found normally in West Blue. It's the largest species of whale in the world. This one's name is Laboon. Crocus says as he was sitting in a beach chair while Miss Wednesday and Mr. 9 is currently roped. And these 2 are rogues from a nearby town. Their goal is to hunt Laboon, because the meat from Laboon can feed their town for 2 to 3 years. Crocus explains calmly. Luffy quietly says as Miss Wednesday secretly looks at Luffy, who has his eyebrow currently raised while looking at Miss Wednesday. Miss Wednesday only looks back to the ground. But I won't allow that. As for why Laboon keeps on bashing his head against the red line, and bellows while facing Reverse Mountain, there's a reason for all that too. Crocus pauses. Long ago, while I was minding my business as a lighthouse keeper, a certain group of friendly pirates came down Reverse Mountain. And following their ship was a little baby whale. That whale was Laboon. It seems that Laboon had accompanied their journey in West Blue, but fearing that Grand Line was too dangerous, they left him behind or so they thought. Normally, island whales are known to swim together in pods, but to Laboon, those pirates were his pod members. Crocus pauses. Their ship was damaged when they arrived, so they stayed here for several months to fix it. I became quite good friends with them during their stay. And so, on the day of their departure, their captain asked me, could you please take care of Laboon for 2 to 3 years? Once we've sailed around the world, we'll come back for him no matter what. Crocus repeats the word that he once heard a long time ago. Understanding their intent, Laboon waited patiently for them here. Crocus ends the story. So that's why he keeps on bellowing even today, and bashing himself against Red Line, Nami quietly says as she looks at Laboon. That's right, it's been over 50 years since then, Crocus says as everyone makes surprised gasps. He still believes his friends will come back. The whale bellows loudly in the end. This is some waterway. I'm amazed you managed to dig out such a big hole and live inside here. Is this another one of your ways of having a good time? Usopp asks as Luffy looks at Miss Wednesday like he was telepathically talking with her and was currently scolding her since Miss Wednesday looked like she was being punished. It's a hobby of mine as a doctor. Don't get the wrong idea. I may not look like much, but I'm a real doctor. I even used to run a clinic at the Cape a long time ago. Crocus pauses. Not only that, I've got a few years under my belt working as a ship doctor too. Then join my crew as a doctor. Luffy says gleefully as Miss Wednesday, who was behind him, have a sulked and sad expression that everyone including Mr. 9 ignored. I've told you before. I'm too old to be doing reckless things, unlike you youths. Crocus says as Luffy raises his eyebrow in amusement being included as one of the youths but shrugs it off. Crocus goes up on a ladder. So you're a doctor, huh? Nami says as she leans in the railing and watches Crocus work on the lock. And you're living inside a whale? That's right. With a whale this big, it's impossible to properly treat it from the outside. Crocus pauses. I'll open the gate now. When the gate opened up, Mary finally got out. Alright, we're out. I can see the real sky at last, Luffy shouts as he was on top of the railing standing dangerously. You know, I just noticed that Luffy's sometimes mature and sometimes childish. Nami says as Usopp, Zoro, and Sanji nods in agreement. What should we do with these two? Zoro asks as he points at Miss Wednesday and Mr. 9. Luffy looks at the two with mischievous eyes and grin. Let's lock the two in the mast once you've taken out the meats. Luffy pauses as he looks at the meats and drools, and cleaned the mast. He wipes off the drools while all of them sweat drops. Wait, it's not like we have a responsibility to take care of them, right? Let's just throw them in the water. Zoro says as Luffy stares at him with an unimpressed look. The two just looks at each other for a very, very, very long time until Zoro finally gives up. Fine, in the end, Luffy wore a smug look. So your name is Miss Wednesday, what a beautiful enigma, you are. Sanji says as he fawns over Miss Wednesday, who ignored him and still looks at the floor. But to think it's been waiting here for 50 years, does it still believe its friends will really return? Usopp says as he pauses, they might still be alive. The five is currently in a table that's close in the lighthouse. You idiot, this is the Grand Line. Sanji says as he puffs out smoke. They promised they'd be back in 2 to 3 years, yet they're still not back after 50 years. The answer's obvious. They're long dead by now. They won't come back no matter how long that whale waits, Sanji shouts the cruel reality as Usopp angrily places his hands on the table. Why do you have to go and say such cold things? You can't say that for sure, they might still come back. Usopp pauses as he punches the table in anger. Can't you even appreciate such a moving story about a whale who still believes in his friend's promise? The truth is far more cruel, however. Those fellows left already. Left from Grand Line, that is. I heard from a reliable source. Crocus says as Usopp widens his eyes. What? Usopp shouts, not believing what he just heard. So they just left the whale behind, but that would mean they left Grand Line through Calm Belt, Nami shouts as Crocus crosses his arms. Yes, that is why I do not know whether they survived or not. But even if they did survive, they would never dare to return here again. A place where the season, climate, currents, and winds could not be any more chaotic. A place where common sense fails to uphold. That place is this sea, the Grand Line, and it rules with fear over faint-hearted. Crocus says seriously as the place seems to darken by the tension. So basically, those cowards were more concerned about their lives than keeping a promise, and thus left Grand Line to never return again, Sanji says as there was a mix of anger. It's not like that, Luffy says in his thoughts as he grits his teeth in anger, it's not like that. So they just abandoned the whale behind, even though this whale never doubted them, and has been waiting for over 50 years. How could they be so cruel? Usopp shouts in anger as Luffy tightens his hold in his hat. If that's the case, then why haven't you tried telling the whale the truth? This whale can understand human words, right? Nami shouts as Crocus closes his eyes. I have. I've told him the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. But he refuses to listen. Crocus says as Nami widens her eyes. He won't listen? Nami asks as she has sweats visible on her skin. Flashback, Laboon, I have something to say. Crocus says as he stares at Laboon, who looks at him back. It's about those pirates who entrusted you to me. It seems they've already left Grand Line. Laboon only stays quiet. I know they were your good friends, and that they would have kept their promise no matter what, but they're not going to come back here ever again. Hhhhhhh. The whale bellows loudly as Crocus was shocked. Laboon, Crocus quietly says he can feel the intense pain of what Laboon's feeling right now. Boo! Laboon, listen to what I'm saying. Those pirates have already. Crocus was cut off by a loud bellowing. Laboon, I understand your feelings of denial. But you have to accept the truth, Crocus yells as he was being splashed by Laboon. Please listen to what I'm saying. Boo! Laboon, Crocus shouts as he tries to at least make Laboon listen to him. Buhhh, buhhhh. Present, ever since then, Laboon has been bellowing at Reverse Mountain, and bashing his head against the red line, as if trying to stubbornly assert that his friends are beyond the wall, and they'll return someday. Crocus pauses. This whale's home is back in West Blue, which is located on the other side of Redline. It's too late for him to go back. That's why his only hope is the very friends he came along with here in the first place. But you know, as much as I feel sorry for this whale and all, you've also been betrayed by them if you think about it. So why don't you leave the whale be already? Sanji asks as he puffs out smoke. Look at the scars in his head. Crocus pauses as he looks at the scarred head of Laboon's. If he continues to recklessly bash his head against the wall, he'll definitely die. We've had an odd relationship, but he's still my companion that I've lived with for over 50 years. I can't just stand by and watch him die. Uoohhhhhh, Luffy yells as he was holding Mary's mast. Huh? Nami says as she looks Luffy walk on Laboon's skin towards the top. What's he up to now? Sanji says as he and Zoro have a sweat drop on their head. Maybe he just likes climbing things? Alright, I've reached the top, Luffy shouts as he sees a fresh wound. Ah, there's a fresh wound. Luffy goes near the wound. At the same time he uses his devil fruit and spins the mast around in his hand. Gomu Gomu. Luffy slams the mast right into the fresh wound, flower arranging. Hey, is that a mast? Zoro asks as Sanji and Usopp looks at the mast. Yeah, I think it's our ship's, Usopp casually says as Sanji stares at the mast. Yup, it's our main mast alright, Sanji says as he puffs out smoke. Laboon stays quiet as he processes what happened until he was sweating and had tears in his eyes. Buhhhhhh. Poor Laboon thrashes around in pain. Buhhhhhh. What the hell is he doing? Zoro, Sanji, and Nami yelled while they had funny angry faces. He destroyed our ship. Usopp shakily shouts as he was ready to faint. Crocus couldn't say anything as he watched the whole thing in shock. Luffy stays quiet and hangs on the mast while Laboon thrashes around in pain. It's coming this way. He's going, Tammy yells as all of them goes away. Laboon slams down. Hey kid, Crocus yells as Nami holds him down. It's too dangerous, don't worry about him, he won't die. Nami yells as Laboon straightens up and Luffy was seen on the ground, not scratched or injured, but he was grinning. Buhhhhh. Laboon bellows in pain as the mast dug deeper into his skin. Stupid, Luffy shouts as he stands up. Buhhhhh. Laboon keeps bellowing as more blood comes out. Take this. Luffy yells as he runs and punches Laboon in the eye without using his devil fruit and no haki. This time though, it hurt Laboon and he pushes Luffy directly in the lighthouse. What's he trying to do? Usopp slowly asks as Luffy was still unscathed and was still grinning. Luffy, just what the hell are you doing? Zoro shouts as Luffy stands up and Crocus looks at Luffy in amazement. Buhhhhh. Laboon bellows with determination to fight in his eyes. It's a tie, I'm pretty tough, eh? Luffy suddenly shouts as Laboon gets surprised and looks at Luffy questioningly. Our fight has yet to be settled, so we must fight each other again. Luffy pauses as he gets up. Your old friends may be dead, but I'm your new rival, and once my crew sails around Grand Line, we'll be sure to come back here to see you again. Laboon gets teary-eyed, and then we'll duke it out again. Everyone smiles at the touching scene, despite the mast on top of Laboon. Buhhhhhh. Buhhhh. Laboon bellows as in his head was a beautifully, skillfully painted straw hat flag that hid some of his scars. All of the straw hat, s in awe and fascination, not knowing Luffy could paint. And done, this will be a sign of our promise to fight again, Luffy says as he was holding a large brush and has no paints in his body. So don't bash your head against the wall and make it disappear, by the time we come back, you hear. Buhhhhh. Laboon bellows as Luffy nods in satisfaction. Good, Luffy says as he grins. Crocus was undoubtedly delighted by what happened. Alright then, time to chart out our navigation route, Nami says as she takes out her compass. This elephant trout is just perfect for cooking, Sanji says as he smiles and cuts the fish. Keep your promise, Luffy, Usopp shouts as Luffy nods and walks toward him with the mast in hand. Yeah, don't worry about fixing it, I'll do it all by myself, Luffy says as he grins and starts fixing the main mast. On the other hand, Zoro is sleeping, as usual, on the side. Nami yells that made everyone look. Luffy only looked at the compass before fixing the mast again. What's the matter, my dear Nami Swan? Sanji shouts while he was holding plates of foods. If it's about the meal, then it's all ready. Usopp only looks questioningly at Nami. The compass. It's broken. It's pointing all over the place, Nami says as Crocus looks at Nami with a blank face. It appears you've come here without knowing anything. I'm quite amazed. Did you come here to just throw your lives away? Crocus jokingly asks as Luffy starts eating like a monster with some rum on his side. Nami only looks at him questioningly. I've said before that common sense fails to uphold in this ocean. That compass isn't broken. Then is it, the magnetic field? Nami says as Crocus nods. Yes, there exists a geomagnetic anomaly across Grand Line, due to many islands here being rich with various minerals. Crocus pauses as he takes a plate. Not only that, the currents and the winds here are as unpredictable as they can be. As a navigator, you should well understand how terrifying that can be. If you venture out into this ocean without knowing anything, you'll die for sure. True, without a reliable way to tell one's direction, it's all hopeless. Nami says as there was silence. I had no idea. Nami says as she rubs her head sheepishly. What, isn't that like really bad? Are we gonna be okay? Usopp asks as his eyes were as long as his nose. Ah, Nami Swan's so cute even when she doesn't know. Sanji shouts as he fawns over Nami with his hard eyes. You two just quiet down. Nami yells as the two had their arms up as if admitting their defeat. This elephant trout trunk is especially delicious, Luffy says randomly as he chews the trunk meat. To navigate through Grand Line, you'll need a log pose, Crocus says as Nami blinks. A log pose? I've never heard of it, Nami admits as she puts down her drink on the table. It's a special type of compass that records the magnetic field, Crocus says as Luffy stops eating. Here, a log pose, Luffy says as he throws the log pose to Nami, who only grabbed it. Yes, that's a log pose, Crocus says as he crosses his arms. Without a log pose, it'd be impossible to navigate on this ocean. Of course, it is quite hard to obtain one outside Grand Line. I see, but hang on just a second, Nami says as her eyes were shadowed. Why the heck do you have one? Nami yells as she attempted punching Luffy, which was deemed to be impossible, yet she still tried, of course. Luffy unconsciously gets away and looks at her with an unimpressed look. I took it from those two weirdos from earlier, Luffy casually says as he takes another meat. So this is a log pose, there's no marking on it or anything, Nami says as she looks at the log pose in her hand. The various islands across Grand Line, all have their own magnetic field surrounding them. Crocus pauses, so in short, you'll have to record the magnetic field interaction between any two islands, before you can progress on to the next island. Nami looks at the log pose before returning to look at Crocus. In this ocean where one can't use any normal means of pathfinding, this log pose represents the only reliable way for one to find his way. From this mountain, you'll choose 1 out of 7 magnetic fields to record, which will lead you to different islands. But no matter which island you start with, the paths will all converge into one eventually, and the name of the very last island one can reach in Grand Line. Luffy finishes a round of rum and tightens his grip on the bottle, unconsciously. Raftel. Raftel, the final stop in Grand Line, the only ones who've ever confirmed its existence in history is the Pirate King and his crew. It is an island of legends, Crocus says as Usopp stands up. Then does that mean One Piece is on that island? Usopp asks as Crocus looks on the ocean. Who knows? Although that is the most likely theory, nobody has reached there to confirm it, Crocus says as Luffy picks a bone. Enough thinking, Luffy says as he grins while chewing a bone. We can see for ourselves once we're there, Luffy says as he fully eats the bone. Ah, should we get going now? I'm finished eating and all. Did you just eat everything all by yourself? Sanji yells as he was surprised and stunned. Aghhhh, even the bones are gone. Usopp yells as his eyes were now longer than his nose. Alright, log pose, I'll make sure to take good care of you. The fate of our journey is all up to you, after all. Nami says as she secures the log pose in her wrist. Why you rubber crap head, that food was. Sanji slowly stands up with his aura in flames. For Nami Swan to enjoy, Sanji tried to kick Luffy. But Luffy stands on the side. The kick must have been strong since it broke the log pose in Nami's wrist without even touching it. You can just go cool your head down in the sea, Nami yells as she kicks Sanji in the ocean. Suddenly, she turns to Luffy, and you. Before she could continue, Luffy raises his hands up in the sky. Wait a minute. I have log poses in my room, Luffy says. His name raises her eyebrow. Log poses? Fine, prove it, Nami says as she huffs. There's no way he could have one? Luffy goes to the ship and towards his room. He opens the door and hears the Den Den Mushi ringing. I could bring it out, it won't hurt, Luffy says to himself as he immediately takes one of the log poses in his wooden shelf that is being supported by glass. Once he took the log pose, he answers the Den Den Mushi and carries it. Who is it? Luffy asks as he goes out of his room and goes out inside. Finally, we've been calling you so many times, Yoi. Luffy hears Marco, one of the commanders, shout. When he was in the deck, he jumps down. Nami was about to shout at him, but he quickly shushed her quietly, which was effective. Sorry, I was busy. What happened? Whisper. I'm currently outside. Luffy whispers as Zoro and the others raise an eyebrow at him. Teach betrayed us. It was a good thing you warned us all before it happened, Thatch could have died Yoi. Marco whispers with a monotone voice. I see, wait a minute. Luffy whispering as he throws the log pose to Nami, who grabbed it. He signaled he would be in his room so he starts to walk towards the ship. It was a good thing no one could hear what Marco was saying since they were whispering. I see, how's Thatch doing right now? He's fine, he's healing very quick. It's a good thing that Haruto was outside. He was about to make a prank in Izo's division until he saw Thatch in the ground with blood Yoi. Marco whispers as he was finally in his room. We could talk normally now, and was Blackbeard still on the ship when Haruto saw Thatch? Luffy asks as he places the Den Den Mushi on his desk with a blank expression like a long time ago. Unfortunately, no he wasn't, and like you said, he was really after the Yami Yami no Mi, Dar Marco says calmly. When I meet him, can I kill him? Luffy asks as his eyes say complete bloodlust and he was unaware that he curled his hands so much that it turned white. That's for you to decide Yoi. Marco says as Luffy closes his eyes, for a minute of uncomfortable silence. Marco decided to talk, that's all, bye Yoi. By that, the two placed down the handset to the right place, and so, the snail says, Kacha. Luffy controls his feelings before standing up. Luffy walks towards the deck, and when he did, he saw Miss Wednesday and Mr. Nine Wed just down in the ground and not in the deck. He raised an eyebrow. You two got out. Luffy says before the two pales and looks at Luffy, who is grinning at them. O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O. Whiskey Peak. What's that? Usopp asks as Miss Wednesday and Mr. Nine was in the ground, this time, in front of Luffy's nakama. Apparently, the two tried escaping, which they succeeded, but they forgot that they lost their log pose, that their downfall. So they went back, which was also a big mistake. It's the name of our town. Mr. Nine says as Nami raises her eyebrow. So you want us to take you there because you lost your ship? Don't you think that's asking a bit too much, Mr. Nine? Nami says as she goes closer to Mr. Nine's face. Especially considering you tried to kill the whale and all. Just who are you guys anyway? Usopp asks as Mr. Nine raises his head. I'm a king. Mr. Nine says as there was a wave crashing sound effect. Liar. Nami says as she has a tick mark in her head and pinches Mr. Nine's cheek. Mr. Nine shrieks in pain. We cannot say, both Mr. Nine and Miss Wednesday yells, but please take us back to our town and we swear we'll return the favor. We'd really rather not keep things hush hush. When Miss Wednesday said, hush hush, Luffy placed his hand on his mouth to keep his laughter low. About everything, but mystery is our organization's motto. And so we absolutely cannot tell you anything more. Please help us out from the kindness of your hearts. Miss Wednesday asks. She glances at Luffy when she said, organization. But it seems like Luffy wasn't a bit curious at all. Don't listen to them. They're nothing but trouble. Crocus says as he crosses his arms while giving Miss Wednesday and Mr. Nine a disapproving look. Well, we accidentally broke our log pose, but do you still want a ride? Nami says while waving the broken log pose in front of them. What? You broke it, and isn't that ours? Mr. Nine shouts in anger. How dare you try to take advantage of our misfortune when you're just as misfortunate as we are? Miss Wednesday shouts. Apparently, the two already got out when Luffy took a log pose. Oh right. I forgot to mention that Luffy here gave us another log pose. Nami says as the two suddenly bowed and went back on pleading. We beseech your kindness, madam, both says as they hid their anger on their minds. Damn this woman. She was toying with us. Both says in their thoughts at the same time. Okay. They can come along if they want. Luffy says as he stares at the sea, most likely he was thinking something else. Alright then, your log should have been recorded by now. Crocus says as he pauses. Is it properly pointing towards a place indicated on the map? Yup. It's pointing towards Whiskey Peak. Nami says as she holds a map and looks at the log pose. Luffy looks at the map and the log pose, which made Nami look at him curiously but shrugged it off. After that, the Straw Hats and the two climbs on going merry. You sure about this, Straw Hat, picking Whiskey Peak all just because of these ruffians? The only place you can choose which route you want to take is here, you know. Crocus says as Luffy grins at him. It's fine. If I don't like the route, I can always sail once around and choose a different route. Luffy says as he leans on the railing. I see, Crocus says as he smiles. Pukukuku, idiotic pirates. Mr. Nine whispers to Miss Wednesday, though Miss Wednesday didn't do that same. In fact, she was looking troubled. Bye then, Crocus Awesome. Luffy says as all of them waves at Crocus. See ya then. Crocus says as he places his hands on his hips. We're going now, Laboon, Luffy says as he waves at Laboon. Bew hhhhh. Laboon bellows as the ship goes farther and farther. Once merry-going wasn't in sight anymore, Crocus crosses his arms. Perhaps they're the pirates we've been waiting for. That captain has got quite a mysterious aura about him. Crocus pauses. What do you think, Roger? O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O. The ship sails on. Today's climate is winter. with a little spring from time to time, after leaving twin capes at the base of Reverse Mountain. The ship now heads for Whiskey Peak. Done? The man who fell from the sky, Mr. Snowman, Luffy says as he makes a badly made snowman. Well, Luffy was only playing. Ha ha ha, such childish snow games, Usopp says as Luffy looks at him. Behold, my masterpiece in snow art, the Snow Queen. Luffy laughs, she looks like Kaya. Luffy gives Usopp a sly grin that made Usopp flinch. Wah! Usopp shouts in embarrassment, at the same time a piece of wood shot the Snow Queen's face. Snowman punch, Luffy says as he grins at Usopp's horrid face. The hell was that for? Usopp yells as he kicks Mr. Snowman's face. Luffy only grins and lets Usopp run after him. Geez, how can those two be so lively when it's so cold out? Nami asks to no one as she watches Usopp run after Luffy. Nami Swan, how much longer shall I continue my snow shoveling of love? Sanji asks as he turns to look at Nami with hard eyes. Until it stops snowing, Sanji. Nami responds as she looks at the window. Yes, ma'am, Sanji shouts as he starts shoveling the piled snow. Hey you. Doesn't this ship have a heating system or something? Mr. Nine rudely asks as the two of them were covered with a blanket. It's really cold, Miss Wednesday says as the two shivers from the cold. Shut up, you're not here as our guests, go outside and help shovel the snow or something. Nami shouts in anger. Suddenly, Luffy barges in and closes the door, resulting for Usopp to get slammed on and faint. Oops. Luffy says as he grins, anyways, you might have to check the log pose, Nami. Luffy says as he looks at his log pose in his wrist. Apparently, Luffy took another log pose in his room just to help Nami. Then lightning came down. Nami widens her eyes as she checks the log pose, only to make a horrified face. Ah! Nami yells as Luffy grins and puts his weight on his right side. What is it? Usopp asks, suddenly awake with his broken nose. What's the matter, my beloved Nami Swan? Sanji yells as he lets go of the shovel. This can't be happening. Nami shouts in disbelief as she goes out in the lounge. Turn the ship around 180 degrees, hurry. 180 degrees? Why are we turning back? Usopp asks as he stands up, relieving his broken nose. No, the ship turned itself around and is now heading directly away from our destination, Nami yells as she looks at the log pose. I only took my eyes off of the log pose for a second and the waves were so calm too. Looks like you've been played by the waves, Mr. Nine says as he makes a smug look. Are you really a navigator? Miss Wednesday says jokingly. That's the kind of ocean this is. The winds, skies, waves, and even the clouds, you can't trust any of them. The only thing you can trust out here is in the direction your log pose points. Do you understand? Miss Wednesday lectures as Nami was at her boiling point. Now, go outside and help. Luffy says as if he was talking to two kids while taking the two by their back collar and taking them outside. Be thankful I took the two of you out before Nami could kick the two of you. Luffy says as he lets go of the two and looks at Nami. Go on Nami, I'll look after the two. Luffy says as Nami nods. The two was about to complain about being treated like a kid but Luffy just shushed them and ordered the two to work. Catch the wind from the right side. We'll use it to 180 degrees to the left. Usopp, you take the jib sail. Sanji, you take the rudder. Nami shouts as Sanji pumps his fist into the air. Just leave it to me, Nami Swan, Sanji yells as he fawns at Nami. And be quiet. Nami orders as she makes the funny face again. Got it, Usopp says as he immediately goes to the jib sail. What a violent woman, Mr. Nine says quietly but Luffy heard it. Luffy quickly shushes him like he was shushing a kid. Hey, wait, the wind's just changed, Usopp shouts as he stops to go at the jib sail. Nami turns to Usopp with disbelief all over her face. That can't be, Nami shouts as the winter turned to spring. Ah, the first breeze of spring. Both Mr. Nine and Miss Wednesday says as they stop working, Luffy only laughs. What? Nami yells the two kept feeling the breeze. Zoro, wake up. We're in an emergency, Usopp yells as Zoro kept sleeping without a care in the world. The waves are getting higher. Usopp yells as waves crashed in his face. Iceberg spotted at 10 o'clock. And now there's fog, Sanji reports as they couldn't perform things properly. What is wrong with this ocean? Nami yells while Zoro was still asleep even after all of this shouting and yelling. We just grazed the iceberg, Sanji shouts as Mary turns to the side because of the impact. There's water leaking in the lower deck. Luffy yells as Nami turns to Luffy with a troubled face that made Luffy guilty of not having to be of help too much. Hurry up and seal it up then, Nami yells as Usopp collects planks and a hammer. On IT, Usopp asks only to be stopped by Luffy. What is IT? I'll go seal the leaks and you go get the woods. Luffy shouts as Usopp nods and gives him the hammer and the planks he was carrying. You too, work even if I'm not here. After that, he runs towards the lower deck. The clouds are moving too fast. Nami yells as the winds were too strong. Raise the sails, the winds are too strong. Everyone, eat up and energize. Sanji shouts as he throws the rums to Luffy, who took it and drank it fast and ate at least 2 plates and goes back to fixing the leaks including Usopp. Oh no. The sail's tearing. Nami yells as the adrenaline was pumping to her blood. Well, everyone feels the same way, except for Zoro. We've got another leak on the lower deck. Luffy yells as Usopp runs back to get planks. Damn it. Usopp yells in anger and frustration. Nami, where's the compass pointing to now? Usopp asks as Nami widens her eyes. It changed again. Nami yells as they were having a hard time surviving, except for Zoro. WHAAAAT. Usopp yells in disbelief. OPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOP like the clouds and waves. Zoro yawns as he stretches and gets up. Ah, that was a nice nap. Zoro says as he notices Luffy standing. No sign of sweat, discomfort, or even a sign of tiredness. Nope, he was totally calm, his posture firm and his appearance were fresh and he was even grinning. No scathes, perfectly fine. Unlike everyone, they were relaxing in the ground. There's nothing wrong with that, nope, they're just being lazy. Hey, come on now. I know the weather's nice and warm, but don't you think you're being a bit too lazy? Zoro pauses before looking at Nami, who was limply lying on the deck. Are you sure we're going the right way? You son of a, Nami, Sanji, Usopp, Miss Wednesday and Mr. Nine thought at the same time. Luffy was only amused at the scene. If Sanji was completely fine, Sanji could have kicked Zoro right now. And why are you two on our ship? Zoro asks, completely forgetting his talk with Luffy, which made Luffy more amused. You noticed now, Mr. Nine yells in anger, yet too tired to do anything. We're headed towards their town right now. Luffy explains as he leans on the main mast. Zoro suddenly remembers his talk with Luffy and only nods. There's something sinister about your faces, Zoro says as he crouches down to look at Miss Wednesday and Mr. Nine's face. What did you say your names were again? Mr. Nine says as he stutters in discomfort. And I'm Miss Wednesday, Miss Wednesday says as he squirms in discomfort when Zoro looks at them intensely. Right, something about those names has been bugging me ever since I heard him. Zoro says as he rubs his chin while the two flinches. I feel like I've heard it before, or not. Zoro pauses. Well, in any case, Zoro gets punched in the back of his head. Did you have a nice nap? Nami says with a scary tone. You wouldn't wake up no matter how hard we tried. Nami yells that fitted her scary face. Don't let your guards down, everyone, you can never expect what might happen out there. Nami shouts as poor Zoro got what he deserved and now is in pain. You can never expect what might happen out here. I finally understand just how terrifying this ocean truly is. As well as why they call it the Grand Line. I understand because all of my navigation skills have failed to work. You know, I'd rather call Grand Line a paradise, like some calls it. The other half of paradise is crueler. Luffy says as Nami looks at him. A paradise? How can you call this a paradise? Nami asks in disbelief. Like I said, the other half of paradise is crueler. Luffy says as Nami gulps in nervousness. Are we gonna be fine? Usopp asks, fearing of what will happen. We'll be fine. Nami says as she keeps her positive side. Things will work out one way or the other. And as proof of that, look, Nami says as she turns to the front. The first leg of our journey is over. Luffy grins as he sees his Nakama's excited and happy faces. It's an island, I see a giant cacti, Luffy shouts as he sits in Mary's head. So this is Whiskey Peak, Usopp says as the island was being clearer and clearer. Thank God we've arrived alive. Mr. Nine shouts happily. Suddenly, the two was in the railing. Now then, we ask you please drop us off here. Thank you for taking us here. Miss Wednesday doesn't add the, my honeys, because of embarrassment since Luffy was in front of her. If fate wills it, then let us meet again. Bye bye baby. Both Mr. Nine and Miss Wednesday shout, though Miss Wednesday had a light pink dusted on her cheek because Luffy laughed lowly. By that, both of them jumped into the ocean. They're gone, Nami says while she sweat drops. Just what is up with those two? Usopp says quietly as Luffy laughs. Forget about him. Prepare to land. Luffy says as he looks at the island. We'll see them later on, it is their town. Luffy says as everyone nods in agreement. There's a river right up ahead. Zoro says as he pauses, looks like we can dock inland. There wouldn't be any monsters on this island now, right? Usopp shakily says in fear. Considering this place is Grand Line, Sanji pauses before he looks at Luffy, or paradise and all. I'd say there is a good possibility, Sanji says as he puffs out smoke. Don't be scared, if you really want to become a brave man of the sea, Luffy says as he encourages Usopp. Oh of course not, I'm not scared at all. I'm just worried for all of you, Usopp says an excuse that made everyone look at him with an unimpressed look. Usopp looked like he became smaller from embarrassment. Wait a second. Don't forget we have to stay on this island for a certain amount of time. Nami pauses before pointing at the log pose in her wrist. This log pose has to record this island's magnetic field before we can move on to the next island, and the recording time varies for each island. There are some islands that take only a few hours to record, while some take even a few days. Then if we come to a horrible monster island that we want to run away from, it's possible that we'll have to stay on it for several days, Usopp asks Nami. That's right. Nami responds while she crosses her arms. Let's just go already. It'd be weird not to go in when there's a river in front waiting for us, Luffy says as Nami sighs. For you, maybe, Nami says as she places her H-where. Luffy acts so childish sometimes. No, what he says is right. There's no use in worrying about it, so let's just go. Zoro says as he agrees on what Luffy just said. I'll protect you, Nami Swan, Sanji says as Nami ignores him. Hey guys, listen, I think I've suddenly developed a can't enter islands disease. Usopp says as everyone ignores him. Fine, let's go in then, Zoro says as Usopp flinches. I'm serious, guys. My can't ente, Usopp was being ignored, again. Ready, be prepared to fight or run at a moment's notice, Nami says as everything went quiet, until they started hearing people. Huh? Isn't that a pirate ship? Hey, you're right? I can hear people. But this fog's too thick to see them, Sanji says as Usopp takes a sharp turn to look at Sanji. People? You sure it's people? Usopp asks as they hear people again. Go tell the others, pirates are here. Welcome, OT the town of Welcoming, Whiskey Peak. Pirates? Welcome to our town. Welcome to Grand Line. Huh? Not only are there no monsters, but there are people greeting us. Usopp says as everyone was completely shocked, except Luffy. What's going on? Sanji asks as people were looking too lively to see pirates. Long live the brave heroes of the sea. There's a bunch of lovely ladies too, Sanji says as he starts to have his hard eyes and start looking at the women. Talk about a warm welcome. Looks like pirates really are the people's heroes, Usopp says as he starts waving at the people. Luffy only walks backward while waving at the people. After that, he pulls Zoro and Nami close to him. Be careful and don't trust the people, Luffy says while smiling and waving at the people. Nami and Zoro nod before looking stiff and guarded. The two already know why Luffy hadn't warned the two idiots, they would still take the bait. Once all of them lands, they get approached by a tall man with a small red nose and has blonde hair in a style that resembles a powdered wig. Welg, the man stops, ma. The man pauses again. Welcome, my name is Igarapoy. You may be a little shocked at the welcome, but this is Whiskey Peak, a town of liquor and music. Hospitality is our middle name. Igarapoy smiles at them. If it's fine liquor you want, we have an ocean's worth. So please, I cordially invite you to our banquet, and hope you may entread. Igarapoy stops again. Ahem. Ma. Luffy looks at Igarapoy's hair. Entreat us with tales of your adventures. After a few minutes, Luffy decided to talk. This man's hair, too curly. Gladly, Usopp and Sanji says while they swing their arms to each other's shoulders. Those idiots, Nami says in her thoughts while walking towards Igarapoy. By the way, how long will it take for this island's log to be recorded? Log? Igarapoy repeats, please put aside thinking of such weary matters for now and focus on resting from your journey. Igarapoy brings Nami with him. Everyone, prepare the banquet, and let us sing to our heart's content for these adventurers. Alright, time for a party, all the people cheers happily. The moon rises and the welcoming party at Whiskey Peak continues. And so I coolly said to him, don't you dare lay a hand on my nakama, you sea-king bastards, Usopp says as he points at who knows where and he was undoubtedly drunk. That's so cool Captain Usopp, all the girl says as they have the hard eyes that Sanji had. Well, to be perfectly honest, even I trembled a little during our great escape from Calm Belt, Usopp lies as he sighs. Trembling with excitement, that is, the guys say while raising their mugs as they look at Usopp with admiration. Zoro says as he slams down his glass while his opponent was on the table. You win, his opponent says as some of the food scattered everywhere. Amazing. This man outdrank 10 people. Someone says in surprise. Meanwhile, Nami raises her mug with a smug look. Orya. Someone shouts as Nami's opponent was at the table, defeated. And this lady here outdrank 12 people. What a couple of heavy drinkers. While Luffy was eating, more and more. More? Luffy says with a grin as he raises his clean plate. He wasn't even half full yet. He wasn't fat like a long time ago and he was just getting started. Holy moly. Here we have their captain who's eaten enough for 20 people. Someone shouts as the cook falls down. The cook just collapsed. Please have mercy on me. The cook says as Luffy kept eating and eating. Meanwhile, on the other side, Sanji's area is filled with women. And would you take a look at this lady killer? He's flirting with 20 women all by herself. What a pirate crew. Someone shouts in the background. Actually, it's been the same person all this time. Ha 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 ha. What a festive. Igaropoy stops, ahem. Ma ma ma. He smiles at them. Festive night this is. Your enjoyment means the world to us. Truly, it means the world. Igaropoy says as he glances at Luffy. O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O. And so, although we were unsuccessful in our task to secure the food for the town, Mr. Nine says as he writes in a paper, to make up for our blunder, we have succeeded in luring those pirates to Cactus Island. Thus ends our report. Yours sincerely, baby. Mr. Nine says as he sighs, good, if we send this to the boss, I'm sure we'll be cleared of our shame. Yes. So let's hurry up and put our report in the Unlucky's box. Miss Wednesday says as they walk and places the paper in the box. They'll be sure to deliver our report directly to the boss. Miss Wednesday while in front of the box says, Baroque. O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O. I can't drink anymore, Zoro says as he slams the glass and his head down the table. Oh, and he goes down against his 13th opponent. Someone says as people were dancing, cheering and stuff. Nami hiccups. But this girl is on her 15th, her opponent is the sister. J.E.'s, so pathetic, Zoro, Nami says as she has a blush on her face. Her look says that she was kind of drunk now. Sister and Nami were drinking on their 15th. It'd be best for you to stop as well for your health's sake, you know, sister says as they kept drinking. Thanks for the meal. I can't eat anymore, Luffy says as he sleeps on the table with his arms supporting his head. This time though, he wasn't fat like he was in the former timeline, he was only pretending. 5 cooks have collapsed now. Someone says the 5 cooks fall on the ground. Though every Straw Hat members know that 5 cooks aren't enough. Nami laughs as she points at Luffy. She's the type to laugh when drunk. I'm no match for you. All the cooks say as they lie on the ground, exhausted. Ah, feels so good, Nami says as she places her head on the table with a drunk face. And she's down. Someone says as Usopp sighs. Ah, what a great town this is, Usopp says as he sleeps on the couch. This is surely heaven, Sanji says as he lies on the women's laps. O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O. Looks like they've fallen asleep, after all that partying, sweat dreams, my fellow adventurers, oh how beautiful the cactus rocks are, as they dance again, beneath the moonlight tonight, Igaropoy says as he looks at the moon. Quite the poet, aren't you, Mr. 8, Mr. 9 says as he and Miss Wednesday was on top of a building. Igaropoy only flinches in surprise but doesn't look back. Oh, it's you, Igaropoy, Mr. 8 quietly says, still looking on the moon. And what about them? Mr. 9 asks as he and Miss Wednesday jump down the building. They've fallen deeply. Igaropoy pauses as he looks at Mr. 9 and Miss Wednesday with a serious face. To hell, that is. Oh dear lord. Sister says as she goes out. The 3 sees her. Sister hiccups. That bunch sure know how to eat and drink. And I was only drinking sparkling barley tea. Sister says as Mr. 8 crosses his arms. Is there really even a need to stage this whole welcome party in the first place? I mean, they're only a bunch of weak-looking brats. Miss Monday. Mr. 8 says sister's codename casually. Miss Monday sighs as she takes out her veil and bandeau. We should have just crushed them at the harbor. The town is short enough on food as it is already. And it's not like we can count on getting that whale meat either. Don't talk to us that way, Miss Wednesday says angrily.
Miss Monday takes out her nun dress and showed her true appearance. Miss Monday was a tall, muscular woman with dark skin and pink hair pulled into short twin tails. She wears a short dress with a magenta and white diamond pattern and 3 green flowers. A distinctive feature of hers is her soft high-pitched voice, more commonly associated with small, frail girls, which helps when it comes to disguising, as seen when she posed as a nun without her true size and strength being noticed.
That's right, we tried our best, you know, Mr. 8 says angrily as he huffs. Now, just calm down for a second for now and take a look at this. I've done my homework about this crew. Mr. 8 says as he takes out a wanted poster. What? Mr. 9, Miss Wednesday, and Miss Monday yells as quiet as they can be, oh 150 million belly. To judge a pirate's strength from his appearances is quite foolish, Miss B-, Mr. 8 stops, Mama, Miss Monday. Them, Miss Wednesday and Mr. 9 chorused in surprise. Though no one noticed, Miss Wednesday's tone wasn't a tone of surprise, but a tone people use when they admire the person. My apologies, Miss Monday says as she scratches the back of her head. But in any case, they're already out cold. This should make an excellent report for the boss. Now go confiscate any money or treasure on their ship and tie them all up. If we kill them, we'll lose 30% of the bounty money. The government would rather do public executions of criminals, after all. Mr. 8 says as he keeps his calm facade. Sorry, but would you mind letting those guys sleep for a little bit longer? They're all tired from the journey over here. Zoro says as the 4 looks up to see Zoro. Zoro was sitting with his katana raised up while Luffy was on his left side, a rum on his right hand. Mr. 8, Ms. Monday, 2 of their crew member has escaped. Someone shouts after they ran out towards the fore, who was already panicking. Why weren't you passed out cold after all that drinking just a moment ago? Mr. 8 says in disbelief. A true swordsman never allows alcohol to take control of himself. Zoro pauses as he grins. So that's how it is. This place is a den of bounty hunters, and you take advantage of the overconfident newbie pirates who just entered Grand Line. Zoro slowly stands up. Looks like there's about 100 of you. You'll be a fine opponent for me. Baroque works. Zoro says after Luffy nods in agreement for Zoro to take them all alone. All of the bounty hunters flinches as their eyes widen in shock. Wah. How do you know the name of our organization? Mr. 9 asks as some of them had sweats visible on their face. Back when I was in the same line of business as you, a certain organization tried to scout me but I refused, of course. Zoro smirks that Ms. widened their eyes more. An organization whose members don't know a thing about each other's real identities, and must refer each other by their code names. And of course, the boss's location and identity are a mystery as well. A criminal organization that asks for complete obedience from its members. Baroque works. All of the members stayed quiet from shock. Hey, was that supposed to be a secret? This is quite a shock, but if he knows, then we have no choice but to eliminate him, Mr. 8 says with a serious tone. Another tombstone must be added to Cactus Rock tonight. If you look closer, the spikes you thought was actually tombstones of dead people. Kill him, Mr. 8 yells as he points where Zoro was, but he was too slow and now, Zoro's gone. He's gone. Where'd he go? Someone shouts as they look everyone to find Zoro, only to find him in the middle of the bounty hunters. Now then, shall we get things started? Zoro asks with a grin. All of them points their guns at Zoro. You bastard! The bounty hunters yell as aim towards Zoro. Shoot! The bounty hunters shot only for Zoro to be gone again and for them to get shot instead. You fools! Mr. 8 shouts as all of them were already panicking too much. He disappeared again. He's too fast. Mr. 8 grits his teeth in anger. Hurry up and kill him. He's only one SWORDSM. Suddenly, a sword cut in his hair that made him stop. Are you sure that you want to add only one tombstone tonight? Zoro says while he was at Mr. 8's back and he was grinning. Without a doubt, Zoro was only playing with them. There he is. A bounty hunter shouted as all of them pointed a gun at Zoro. Stop you fools. Are you planning to shoot me too? Mr. 8 yells as he panicked. Zoro could disappear if they shoot. That would put him in danger. I said stop, no one listened. Then suddenly, Mr. 8 pulls out a saxophone and blows it. Suddenly, bullets came out and shot the bounty hunters. Phew, was that a shotgun? Talk about dangerous, Zoro says as he hides in a building's wall that was nearby the bounty hunters. It looks like Mr. 9 pauses as Mr. 8, Miss Wednesday, Miss Monday, and Mr. 8 prepares for an attack. We'll have to deal with him personally. Things went quiet as the bounty hunter gathered. While Luffy was nowhere to be found. Where did that swordsman and that straw hat disappear off to now? Miss Monday pauses. Is he seriously planning to take on all of us, all by himself? It doesn't seem like he truly understands the power of Baroque works. While Zoro and Luffy were somewhere near the enemies, Nami, Sanji, and Usopp's currently sleeping in a house, peacefully. Now then, this'll be an excellent chance to test out my new boys. Zoro says as he grins and takes out Yubashiri, the dark sword. No need to hold anything back, boys. Yeehaw! I found him, someone cowboy-like shouted as he pointed a gun at top of Zoro. Zoro widens his eyes as he looks up at the building. The guy shoots as Zoro rolls back towards the house. HMPH, he rolled into the house. Zoro says once he stopped rolling and realizes every bounty hunters was outside, pointing a gun at him. They proceeded to shoot as Zoro jumps to a table and flips it. The bounty hunters kept shooting as Zoro dodges the bullets that passed through. Once it stopped, Zoro grins as he takes out Yubashiri fully this time. First up is Yubashiri. Zoro cuts the table in half that surprised the bounty hunters. Zoro didn't let the bounty hunters act as he cuts the bounty hunters. The bounty hunters stood for a moment, surprised and confused. They looked back to see Zoro behind them. Very light, Zoro says as he looks at Yubashiri. A fine blade indeed. Zoro sheathes the Yubashiri, ready to step at the short staircase that he saw. The bounty hunters, who were confused, soon got their body cut and blood goes out. I see him, he's over there, a bounty hunter shouts as he points at Zoro. Oh, I've been spotted. Zoro says as he grins and goes up a short staircase. He's going up, a bounty hunter shouts while Zoro, who was at the last step of the staircase, sees 4 bounty hunters and one of them was pointing a bazooka at him. Eat this, the one holding the bazooka shouts as he shoots Zoro. Zoro lies down a little and uses his left hand to hold the staircase's handrail and the right hand at the Yubashiri, ready to unsheath the Yubashiri. That was close, Zoro says as he sees the ball shoot towards the bounty hunters. He looks back again, only to see the bounty hunters holding their swords. Ha ha ha, this is as far as you'll get, a bounty hunter says as Zoro unsheathes Yubashiri when he saw the swords. UOOHHHHH, Miss Monday shouts as she was holding a barrel and proceeds to shoot it towards Zoro, who is going up. Miss Monday. The 4 bounty hunters shouts in surprise as the barrel goes towards Zoro. Don't worry about that and just kill him. One of the 4 bounty hunters shouts as he points at Zoro, who has his left hand on the railing and his right elbow and upper arm on the floor while his hands on Yubashiri. Zoro looks towards the barrel that was closing on him. He uses his right hand with the Yubashiri and spins to cleanly slice the barrel and sits on the floor as he successfully got into it. Zoro sighs. What a waste of such fine liquor. Zoro says as the 4 sliced parts of barrel slam to the 4 bounty hunters' head. Ah, why you? Miss Monday shouts in anger. HAHHH, a bounty hunter shouts as he attempts to hit Zoro behind with a stone axe. Zoro takes notice of this and unsheathes Sandai Kitetsu. He slices the stone axe cleanly and the bounty hunter goes down as he failed to hit Zoro. The bounty hunter cries in pain as he got cut with Sandai Kitetsu. Wah. This one cut through a stone axe, Zoro says in surprise as he looks at Sandai Kitetsu. This Sandai Kitetsu has some sharp edge. Zoro pauses. A masterwork blade only cuts when its user wishes to cut something. This one's gonna be a problem child, alright. YAHHH, a little voice shouts as he plans to stab Zoro with a knife. Zoro turns to see a small boy with short brown hair. He wears a tan shirt with a wanted picture of Pandaman, light-colored shorts, and dark-colored shoes. Zoro easily knocks the knife out of his hand. Huh? Zoro says as a nun, an average woman, dressed in a religious habit. She wears a black long dress with long sleeves and a veil that covers her hair. She proceeds to come towards the boy and hug him. May the Lord have mercy on us, the nun says as the little boy cries on the nun's arms. After a while of Zoro looking at them, the nun takes out a cross that had a little hole that unleashed poison, the Lord's merciful blinding. If you're gonna pull a trick like that, do it more on a more gullible chap with a pure heart. Zoro says as he was suddenly behind them with Yubashiri in his right hand with Sandai Kitetsu on his left. The nun who was suddenly holding a sword and the kid who was also suddenly holding a flintlock flinches in surprise. He proceeds to hit the 2 with the back of his blade. I hit them with the back of my blade. That's as much mercy you'll get from me, Zoro says as he starts to climb a ladder. The fake nun and the kid was on the ground, unconscious. He's climbing up again, someone shouts as he points at Zoro. That idiot! Chase after him. The bounty hunters started to run after Zoro with weapons. When Zoro was finally in the roof, the bounty hunters started to climb, ha 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 ha. There's no place for you to run away to up there. When a bounty hunter was at the last step, he sees Zoro grinning while holding the ladder. Wah! Zoro starts to raise the ladder above towards the other side, where the other bounty hunters were climbing to the staircase, and put it down. Ah! The ladders are all falling down. As the ladder falls down, Zoro jumps at the edge and the ladder crashes down along with the bounty hunters while he comes to the other house that has a cross, probably a church. Wah! He's coming this way. Zoro grins as he was coming to Waro grins as he was coming closer. 2 sword style. The bounty hunters panic. TAKANAMI. Hawk wave. While airborne, he creates a powerful gust of wind to knock opponents over. DAHHHHHH. 5 voices of women shouted as Zoro cleanly cuts the ground below him. Zoro casually goes out of the area he cut as the 5 women fall down the land. Careful now. The floor right there has been cut through, Zoro says while he was too late yet kept walking. After a while, Zoro notices the presence of Miss Monday behind him, holding a ladder, ready to slam it to Zoro. Zoro lets himself fall as Miss Monday swings the ladder but she fails and the ladder breaks because of the wall in front. That was too close, Zoro says as Miss Monday lets go of the ladder and wears a brass knuckle. She chokes Zoro and raises her right hand, that has the brass knuckles, superhuman. Miss Monday punches Zoro right on the face. Brass knuckles. As soon as Miss Monday punched Zoro, the ground below them cracked so much because of the impact. OPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPO. Making this was to hem. Mr. 8 pauses. Ma. Mr. 8 pauses again. Waste so much time. GYAAAAA. Miss Monday yells in pain as Zoro was crashing Miss Monday's face. Miss Monday. The bounty hunters shout in surprise and shock while it was mixed with worry. What? Mr. 8 shouts in disbelief. His eyes were wide open and sweat was visible on his face. Miss Monday was kneeling on the ground, her left hand on Zoro's neck from trying to choke him before and her right hand on Zoro's left arm. What's wrong? Zoro asks as his left hand was crashing Miss Monday's head. He had no scratches because of hockey and his right hand was in his pocket. Where's that strength that you're so proud of? In the end, Miss Monday gets unconscious and falls to the ground. A GHHH. He beat Miss Monday on pure strength. That's impossible. A bounty hunter shouts in disbelief as Zoro lets go of Miss Monday's head turns to the bounty hunters. Shall we continue, Baroque works? A fight's no mere game, you know, Zoro says with a grin as he licks his lips in excitement. I got it. That wanted poster must be a mistake on the Marine's part, Mr. 8 says as he frowns. Of course. I can understand if he was worth the 150 million belly, Mr. 9 pauses. He must be their real captain. No wonder. I thought it was quite strange that their grinning idiot of a captain was supposed to be worth 150 million. Miss Wednesday only stays quiet as she frowns. Luffy needs the real captain, Miss Wednesday says in her thoughts as she remembers how strong Luffy was. Luffy gets a tick mark as he hurt Mr. 8 and Mr. 9. Well, that hurts. They thought I wasn't the captain? Am I that weak looking? Luffy says as he drinks the sake that he took while Zoro was fighting them. It was a normal day for the Straw Hats. Luffy bugging everyone around including helping them, Chopper in the infirmary, Zoro sleeping somewhere, Nami sunbathing, Robin watering the flowers, Frankie checking if the Sunny Go has some problems, Brook playing a peaceful song. Yep, everything was normal. But it seems like Luffy thought of something. I wonder what the others are doing. Luffy thinks of the other pirate crews as Nami scolds him for being too loud. Are you even listening? Nami shouts as she stops herself from punching Luffy. It won't work anyway. Nami sighs as she just sits on her beach chair and continues sunbathing and lets Luffy do whatever he wants to do. Nami looks at Luffy, who is bugging Brook, to play Bing sake, which Brook agreed to immediately. As Brook starts, Nami suddenly thinks of how he met Luffy. Strange. A long time ago, Luffy was so serious and smart, but, after being with him, he wasn't the type of guy who I thought he'd be. Nami says in her thoughts as Luffy starts to clap his hands in the tune, I thought he'd be strict but kind and someone who wouldn't let his nakama do things without permission. But he wasn't. He actually gave us all the freedom we want, to make our dreams come true. And Nami pauses as Luffy notices her and waves his hand in the air. Hey, Nami. What's wrong? Luffy shouts with a grin as Nami sighs and ignores him. She hears Luffy laugh and continues clapping his hands. He's overprotective of the people around him. Nami says in her thoughts as she smiles. She remembers going with Luffy to save Robin, who betrayed him once. She also remembers how he didn't allow anyone to mess with everyone around him. He was too kind, too nice, too strong, too overprotective, too smart, too stupid, too carefree, too childish, but he's our captain. Nami thought as she drinks the dessert Sanji gave her a while ago. As Nami was reminiscing the past, Luffy and Brook were already done with the song. When he was about to tell Brook to play it again, an idea struck into his mind. Hey, everyone, come here immediately. Luffy yelled with a grin as everyone immediately as fast as they can. What the hell is it now? This better be important, Zoro says as he yawns. He just got up after all. That's right, Luffy. I was in the middle of creating a medicine when you called us, Chopper says as he looks at Luffy. She, it's really important, Luffy shouts as he grins, but the grin was immediately replaced with a smile, which surprised and made everyone somehow serious. Zoro. Zoro flinches a bit in surprise when Luffy called his name. What? Zoro asks as Luffy looks at him straight in the eye. Thank you for supporting me. As Luffy said that, everyone especially Zoro got surprised. Zoro, you were a great swordsman and vice captain. If I'm gone, I want you to manage the crew. After everything you've done, I'm thankful and proud of you. Luffy bows while Zoro blushes a little bit as he scratches his right cheek, but he got over it fast. Oi, what do you mean if you're gone? Zoro says as he grins. Captain. Zoro adds later as the rest of the Straw Hats chuckled, which caused a little fight between Zoro and Sanji because Zoro shouted at Nami, though in the end, Nami punched the two to silence them. Nami. Luffy says as Nami flinches, were they all going to be called? As Nami turns to him, Luffy thinks of this as a sign to proceed. Without you, the whole crew would be literally in chaos. The whole Straw Hats agreed and laughed to that. Because of you, some of our members were able to behave. And of course, a navigator's task must be very hard. Luffy walks towards Nami until they were close enough. As a navigator, the whole crew's lives is a great pressure on you, including managing our finance. Without you, all of us would die in the sea and probably be poor pirates. Oh, of course. You guys need me after all. Nami stutters, hiding her blush at everyone. Luffy chuckles and places his right hand to pat and ruffle Nami's hair, much to everyone's surprise. That's right. Thank you for taking care of us, Nami. Luffy says honestly as Nami looks on the floor to hide her blush and only nods. Luffy grins and looks at Usopp. What? Usopp stutters as he nervously looks at Luffy. It was just so sudden, he wasn't prepared for this kind of stuff. Usopp. Luffy says as Usopp gulps, you may be cowardly sometimes. Oi! Usopp shouts as the Straw Hats laughs at Luffy's first sentence. But you're an irreplaceable part of our crew, everyone is. You're strong, if you weren't you wouldn't even reach hockey. But you reached it, and that's the proof of your strength. You would help us fight and even create some things. Luffy continues as Usopp's smile grows larger in each and every word Luffy gave. You're a brave warrior of the sea. Thank you for being a part of our crew, Usopp. Thanks. Usopp says shyly as he hides his grin from everyone. Sanji. Luffy says as he turns to Sanji, who looked at him back. Don't give me that look, shitty rubber, Sanji shouts as he was panicking. He didn't want to be sentimental and stuff right now. Sanji, thank you for being our cook. Without your delicious food, all of us would starve. Sorry for taking the meats, I just couldn't help it. Luffy says as Sanji hides his laugh by covering his mouth. You were really kind to us, especially to me. I trust you to support Zoro when I won't be with you guys. Luffy pauses, looking at Sanji's annoyed face at the end. Even if I was really annoying, you gave me food. For that, thank you. Thank you for giving us food, and thank you for being with us. Luffy says as Sanji clicks his tongue and puffs out smoke from his cigarette. Stop thanking me. It's my job as a cook, shitty captain. Sanji says as Zoro mutters something, which Sanji probably thought it was a complaint, though he wasn't in the mood for fighting him, so he just ignored it. Chopper. Luffy says as he walks to the almost crying Chopper. Well, Frankie was already crying, saying that it was a manly speech, or stuff. Like everyone, your role here was very pressuring. You're still a kid, but I gave you a pressuring role. Sorry about that, Chopper. As Luffy stopped, Chopper cried and jumped into Luffy's face, which caused Luffy seeing anything. Don't say anything else like that. IIW wash show HFET to be chosen as why you're Nakama. Don't say anything else like that. IIW was so happy to be chosen as why you're Nakama. Chopper says crying as Luffy takes him off and instead, puts him in his arms. Chopper hugs Luffy tight, giving everyone a scene of father and son scene. Thank you for also healing us, taking care of us, and protecting us. Thank you for being our Nakama. Luffy finishes as Chopper didn't let go of Luffy, not like Luffy wanted Chopper to let go. Luffy turns to Robin while having Chopper in his arms. Robin. What is it, Captain San? Robin asks, though she already knows what Luffy would say. Thank you for not leaving us in the end. You were needed her, as our archaeologist and a matured sister. Everyone was shocked that Luffy was able to say, archaeologist. Luffy was truly full of surprises. Without you, we wouldn't be able to pass difficult challenges. You were able to help us at times we needed one. Thank you, Robin. Luffy says as Robin smiles. It was also a pleasure for being your Nakama, Captain San. Robin says as Luffy grins at her. Frankie. Luffy says, looking at Frankie, who is still crying his hearts out. Gaw. Luffy. That wash such a handly spesh. Gaw. Luffy. That was such a manly speech. Frankie yells while crying. Luffy looks to Chopper, who is still crying too. The two was really on it. Frankie, thank you for making Sunny go. I'm sorry for sometimes breaking the parts of Sunny go and making you go repair them. You worked so hard to keep the ship stable for us to continue our journey, thank you. Luffy finishes as Frankie was still crying. Don't thank me for that. I was only doing my job, Frankie yells, trying not to stutter or MD for everyone to understand. Brook. Luffy says, looking at Brook, who was looking at him back. If I had eyes, I would be crying my heart out. Brook says as he pauses, but I don't have eyes though. Yo ho 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 ho. Brook says as Luffy laughs at his skull joke. It seems like Chopper was affected by it too. He stopped crying loudly for a second. Some might say a musician isn't needed in a pirate crew, but you proved them wrong. Luffy pauses. You gave colors to our pirate crew. Everyone did. It made our pirate crew more lively, and it's one of the things I want in our pirate crew. You also fight with us, using your devil fruit and music. Thank you for that, Brook. Your skull jokes were really amazing, and your music too. Luffy says as Brook laughs, making a skull joke at the end. Luffy, why now? Sanji says as he puffs out smoke. What, why now? Luffy asks, not understanding what Sanji fully meant. Why now? Why say this now? To be honest, it's making me feel anxious. You don't do this kind of stuff. Sanji responds. Luffy laughs at the answer, though he was also saddened on the inside. Because I wanted to praise you all for doing so hard, and at the same time, saying sorry for the things I did. Luffy says as Chopper slowly quieted down. And our last destination is Sabaody. All of us won't be able to be together for 2 years, that's why I want to say this now. As long as we're traveling together in the sea, we're a family. Then who are the parents? Robin suddenly asks with a smile. That question made everyone quiet, only hearing the sound of the birds on the sea. She. Isn't that obvious? It's me, since I'm the captain. I get the parents' role. Luffy suddenly says, hugging everyone with him, causing some to blush. Oh, don't hug us so sudden. Sanji gets cut off by Luffy's laugh. Then who's the mother? Robin asks, still with her smile. Everyone quiets down once again. Robin looks at Luffy, who is wearing a blank stare, looking at her. Robin soon chuckles. Let's leave that unanswered for now. Robin says as everyone says their words of agreement. How disgraceful, Mr. 8 says as he looks at the beaten bounty hunters, then at Zoro again. To be beaten to this extent by a single pirate swordsman. Zoro smirks as he looks down at the 4 Baroque Works members. As proud members entrusted especially by the boss to watch over this town, we have a matter of responsibility to worry about. Mr. 8 says as he magically has a saxophone. He blows it and a blast of bullets came out towards Zoro. Zoro flips backwards. Whoa, Zoro says in fake surprise as Mr. 8 stops shooting. Let's go, Miss Wednesday, Mr. 9 says as he runs towards the building. Miss Wednesday bites her pinky. Yes, Mr. 9. Miss Wednesday shouts as Mr. 9 jumps at the building. Come give me a hand, Karoo. Karoo is a large, yellow duck. His wings are tipped with black, though this is not always present, as are his tail feathers. As the name implies, he has a spot on his bill. He wears a blue chuyo with a white pattern on it and pink goggles with blue lenses. Quack, Karoo shouts as he proceeds to raise his right wing casually while looking at Miss Wednesday. Not literally, Miss Wednesday says as she makes a funny angry face. O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O after Karoo running towards Miss Wednesday. Miss Wednesday rides Karoo. Alright, show your famous speed that can outrun even a leopard, Miss Wednesday says as Karoo quacks. Quack, Karoo shouts as he does the opposite. For a moment, Miss Wednesday looks at Karoo, confused why he wasn't moving. WHO the hell told you to sit down? Miss Monday shouts in anger as she hits Karoo's head. Karoo quacks in surprise and pain. Zoro's sweat drops. The hell? Zoro says as he quietly looks at the mini unplanned comedy sketch. Ha 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 ha. Are you sure you should be looking somewhere else right now? Mr. 9's smug tone was heard on top of Zoro. Zoro looks up to see Mr. 9 doing some acrobatic stuff. I wonder if you can keep up with my acrobatic finesse? Mr. 9 says as he keeps flipping towards Zoro. Neketsu 9. Mr. 9 magically has a steel bat, his pinkies up. Of course, Zoro saw this and used his Sandai Kitetsu to fight it. Kanju bat. After Zoro dealing with the impact, Mr. 9 proceeds to flip on top of Zoro and effectively hit Zoro in the head. Haha. These are metal bats. Be careful not to let your swords get chipped. While Mr. 9 was laughing as Zoro, who was just standing, looks to be thinking for a moment. Though he had no injury in his head. What's wrong? Too scared to move. Zoro unsheathes Sandai Kitetsu and now is holding Wado Ichimonji. He proceeds to threateningly put it close at Mr. 9's face, who screamed in surprise. Zoro proceeds to move the Wado Ichimonji and for Mr. 9 to sloppily dodge all of it using his steel bats. What happened to your acrobatic finesse? Zoro says mockingly as Mr. 9 flips back again. Oh, I'll show it to you alright. Mr. 9 as he smirks at Zoro while he was halfway on going down. Just be sure to keep your eyes open. Mr. 9 says before he notices that something was wrong. Ah. Ha. Zoro says as with a little smug tone on it as Mr. 9 falls in the building with tears falling into his eyes. By the time Mr. 9 falls, Zoro looks at the other side with a bored face. Isn't there anyone more competent? Zoro goes down to look for someone who can fight decently. If you want someone competent, then look no further. Miss Wednesday says Zoro turns his head to see Miss Wednesday and Karoo. Miss Wednesday was on top of Karoo, standing, while Karoo was casually drinking water that was connected to him. Prepare yourself, Mr. Bushido. Miss Wednesday raises her arms up and her hands on X. Now, gaze deeply at my body. Miss Wednesday dances her hips to sides slowly, causing Zoro to become dizzy from the movement of the spirals on her dress. This leaves them open for more attacks. Miwaku Memai dance, captivating dance of dizziness. Zoro grits his teeth. Zoro says as he falls down in his knees. As soon as Zoro fell in his knees, Miss Wednesday slowly rides Karoo normally. Fufu, that's a nice boy. Miss Wednesday says as she puts a peacock slasher on her right hand's pinky and swings it around. Now for the finish, Miss Wednesday smirks. Kujaki slasher, peacock slasher. Let's go, Karoo. Karoo quacks in agreement as Miss Wednesday keeps swinging the peacock slasher in her pinky. Instead of going to the right way, Karoo goes to Zoro's right side. Karoo should have gone to Zoro's left side for the peacock slasher to hit Zoro. You're going the wrong way. Miss Wednesday smacks Karoo's head using her free left hand with a comical angry face. Zoro finally got out in the effect and watches Karoo and Miss Wednesday keep going straight. Stop, I'm gonna fall. Zoro blushes a little as he watches Karoo and Miss Wednesday. I feel embarrassed at myself for having to fight these losers, Zoro says as he sweat drops. Igarappa. Mr. 8 suddenly appears while blowing his saxophone. Whoa! Zoro shouts with no surprise in his tone as he jumps back. He successfully stands up as he runs to the left side, Mr. 8's bullets following it. Mr. 8 stops in surprise. Cutting a hole to escape below, Mr. 8 says as he pauses, how futile, unknown to him. Zoro actually dashed towards a house, and dashes towards its back door. Allow me to show you, the terror of my true strength. OPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOP close attack. Zoro asks to himself as he sighs. The four wasn't a strong opponent, but they sure were persistent. "Daw!" A familiar person shouts in anger as he gets out from the pile of woods that was covering him. Zoro looks at him with a bored expression. The guys keep appearing in different places. "How dare you harm me to this extent? I shan't forgive you," Mr. 9 says as he still has his metal bats, his pinkies still up. Zoro's sweat drops. "But you hurt yourself on your own," Zoro says casually as Mr. 9 raises his left metal bat and his right metal bat straight to him. "Kato base shikomi bat. Hidden home run bat," Mr. 9 says as his right metal bat had a hidden metal rope that disconnected the barrel. Zoro failed to anticipate this since he sensed Mr. 8, Miss Wednesday, Karoo, and a certain Straw Hat. Zoro grits his teeth in surprise while Mr. 9 makes a smug smirk. "Ha ha ha. I've sealed up one of your arms. There you are," Mr. 8 says as he was on top of a building, looking at Zoro. "Iron wire?" Zoro says calmly since he can break away whenever he wants. "Now, Mr. 8, Mr. 9 shouts as he tightens the rope. Mr. 9 had the other side of the rope in his left arm to keep his enemy stuck. "Ha ha ha ha, I won't let you escape." Exactly, Zoro turns to see Miss Wednesday, a sword on her right hand and her left hand on Sanji's collar.
The cook was still sleeping with a blissed face which made Zoro have a tick of annoyance on his forehead. "Move even a single muscle, and consider your precious friend's life forfeit," Miss Wednesday says with a forced smirk. "I'm so sorry, Luffy knee. But I know they'll be safe, as long as you're here." Miss Wednesday says in her thoughts, she still remembers Luffy missing, so she knows he's somewhere close, watching them silently. Sanji snores as his body was being supported by Karoo's head. Mr. 9 side looks at Miss Wednesday with a grin. "Ha ha ha. Nice, Miss Wednesday. Not only can he not escape anymore, but he won't be able to attack either," Mr. 9 says as Sanji snores again. Zoro gets a tick of annoyance on his forehead again. "That shitty cook could die for all I care," Zoro says as he looks at Mr. 9 and Miss Wednesday, who look dumbfounded and shocked at his words. He won't say it out loud, but he cared for everyone, Sanji included. Apparently, Mr. 8 didn't hear it. "Prepare for fire," Mr. 8 suddenly yells as he pulls his necktie strings to the point the strings that he was pulling was longer than the 0 part. Preparation complete. Zoro turns to Mr. 8 as it piqued his interest. "Preparation?" Zoro says as Mr. 9 was slightly pulled because he moived at Mr. 8. "Tighten," Mr. 8 slowly says as he puts his thumbs on the small, 0 part of his necktie. "Igarapapa." Once he pulled it, he exposed the gun barrels hidden in the curls of his hair. He attacks by pulling the loops of his necktie to fire explosive bullets. Zoro widens his eyes in surprise. He wasn't expecting that. "What is he, an action figure?" Zoro says as he pulls his roped arm and holds the rope with his free hand, pulling it to him. "Ah!" Mr. 9 screams as he gets pulled. He couldn't do anything to stop Zoro. "Wah!" Miss Wednesday gasps, not expecting for that to happen. She totally forgot she had a hostage with her. Zoro pulls Mr. 9 up towards the bullets. Mr. 9 was sweating rapidly. "Ah!" While Mr. 9 was blown up, Zoro fell down. Zoro starts to get up again and pulls poor Mr. 9, who was bruised, some of his teeth missing, obviously unconscious, towards Miss Wednesday next. "Ah!" Miss Wednesday shouts in horror as Karoo's eyes widen and Miss Wednesday could only protect herself from the impact. Karoo quacked while Miss Wednesday screamed in horror as they were thrown away. When Zoro was finally free from the ropes, he was being shot again. "Igarapapa," Mr. 8 shouts again as Zoro rolls back. When Zoro was standing, he runs towards Sanji, who is still sleeping. "Wake up," Zoro shouts as he proceeds to jump at Sanji's face, considering Sanji was sitting despite sleeping. "You shitty cook," Zoro shouts as he puts his foot at Sanji's face, and jumps towards Mr. 8. "What is he?" Mr. 8 pauses as Zoro lets Sanji fall as he jumps at the building to reach Mr. 8. Before Mr. 8 got time to react, Zoro slices his chest. Zoro falls down gently on the floor as he unsheathes Wado. "Phew." Zoro sighs, finished. Zoro says as he looks at Sanji, who is still sleeping. Zoro's sweat drops as he sees his footprint in Sanji's face. "Now, where did Luffy go?" Zoro says as he looks around. "O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-
One of the bounty hunters says as some of them talk. I never thought those four would actually lose. But where do we even run away to now? Anywhere's fine, just not here. Let's just hide ourselves until those pirates leave this isla. Before the bounty hunter could continue, they stopped on their tracks as they see a large, black feathered vulture, with white feathers toward the neck. The vulture's skin is pink, and her beak is a light yellow. The vulture wears a yellow aviator cap dotted with red flowers and black goggles. Another one was seen beside the vulture, a small, brown furred otter with white fur around his snout. He wears a long-sleeved, light blue coat with purple dots, as well as black sunglasses. AGHH. The bounty hunters shouts in fear. It's the UNLUCKIES. Friday the 13th. The two was standing on a wooden direction sign that was pointing on the left side, saying, Sappadin Graveyard. The bounty hunters suddenly panics in fear. Wait. We weren't trying to run away or nothing. A bounty hunter says an obvious lie as another one comes up with one again. We were just gonna go to the washroom. A bounty hunter says as they made lots of hand gestures. Of course, the unluckies sees through their lies as two's glasses shines with a yellow diamond comically showing on the end. The two jumps towards the bounty hunters. Yeah! The bounty hunters yelled in fear as the two unluckies was halfway near them. Wait! A girl's voice was suddenly heard. The unluckies stopped and looked behind them. Even though it's the dead of the night right now, this town is quite rowdy. HMPH. A man's voice was next. I can't believe we were ordered to come all the way out here to the front lines. WHO are you people? The bounty hunters yelled, though the two stayed quiet. As the bounty hunters had enough, they raised their guns and pointed it at the two. I said WHO are you people? While the bounty hunters raised their guns, the unluckies remained silent, though it was obvious they were surprised that the two were there, as there was sweat forming in their faces. Miss Valentine. Mr. 5 inches OPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOPOP which caused a little impact, considering they were on top of a building. There, that takes care of the cleanup. Zoro sits down, either he's gone out of my range or he's just too good on hiding his haki. Zoro takes out a sake magically. He glugs down his sake. It's become a nice quiet night again. As he glugs down once again, he hears a sound, which made him turn to where he heard the sound, too. Well, at least they're stronger than the last ones I fought. While Zoro was relaxing, Mr. 8 was ignoring all the pain as he huffs, I can't just die here. Mr. 8 encourages himself to get up, at least a little bit with the help of a wood. How pathetic, you lost to a single swordsman. Mr. 5's voice was heard, making Mr. 8 flinch in surprise. Mr. 8 makes a swift turn to see them. It was obvious that he was surprised. Mr. 5. Mr. 8 says as he trembles a little from the pain, Miss Valentine. Mr. 5 is a tall, dark-skinned man with black hair and short spiky dreadlocks. He wears a brown trench coat with a pink cravat and a pair of sunglasses, regardless of the time of day. Like the other officers, his number is shown both on his clothing and his body. He has a 5 on his coat. This number is also tattooed on his right shoulder. Then Miss Valentine wears a yellow and orange hat, as well as a yellow dress with a lemon-like pattern, lemon earrings, and white high-heeled shoes. She is also seen carrying a bright green parasol with blue stripes. Are you idiots just playing around? Mr. 5 pauses. Well, Mr. 5 adds a mocking tone, despite his calm facade. Kya ha ha ha. Give them a break. You can't expect them to be as capable as we are. Miss Valentine says, also using the mocking tone. Did you just come to laugh at us? Mr. 8 says weakly as he trembles from the pain. That's one reason. Mr. 5 says, not showing any signs of helping Mr. 8. Kya ha ha ha. We've obviously come here for business. Miss Valentine says, there was no sign of her intending to help Mr. 8 and the others. Coo. Mr. 9 slowly laughs as he stands up a little, ha 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 ha. With you two backing us up, those pirates stand no chance. Mr. 9 says as Miss Wednesday pants, stand up the same way Mr. 9 did. That's right, so please, go crush that troublesome swordsman. Miss Wednesday says as she really didn't mean it. As much as she wanted to hit that swordsman even once, the swordsman was still part of Luffy's crew. Besides, it's not like they know that the two knew each other anyway. Stop joking around. Mr. 5 says as he makes a disgusted face. The three was surprised. Weren't they supposed to back them up? You think we're your backups? You honestly believed that we'd be ordered to come all the way out here at the edge of the Grand Line, just to help you fight off a pesky swordsman? Miss Valentine says in a mocking and surprised tone. Kya ha ha ha. What? Mr. 9 says, not believing what he just heard. Then what business have you come here for? Surely you must have some hunches. Mr. 5 pauses. A crime severe enough that the boss would personally dispatch us all the way out here. The boss's direct words were, my secret has been found out. Miss Valentine pauses. Of course, we have no idea what that secret may be, but our organization's creed is secrecy. Mr. 5 says as the aura around him suddenly change. No one is allowed to pry into the real identities of our members. Mr. 5 crosses his arms. Thus, it's inexcusable for our boss's real identity to be known. After investigating the matter, it seems an agent of a certain kingdom has infiltrated into Baroque works. Miss Valentine says as Mr. 9 gets shocked. Wah! Mr. 9 suddenly stands up, panicking. Wait, I know I wear a crot really a cane. We know it's not you. Miss Valentine says as she gives Mr. 9 an unimpressed look. Miss Wednesday has sweats forming on her face and Karoo quacked. They found out about everything, Mr. 8 thought. He was now panicking and sweats forming on his face. Is this the end? While they were talking about important matters, Zoro was looking down on them since he was on top of the building. Looks like Shitty Cook is in a dangerous position. Zoro says as he wipes off the sake that was dripping down his face. The spy we're talking about, Mr. 5 smirks, is the Alabasta Kingdoms.
Die. Mr. 8 suddenly stood up, Agarapapa. He attacks Mr. 5, now completely hostile to Mr. 5 and Miss Valentine now that they have found out. I won't let you harm her.
As the bullets shot Mr. 5, smoke came out. Mr. 8, Mr. 9 says, surprised of what happened. I swear it on my honor as the head of Alabasta's royal guards. Mr. 8 thought as the smoke kept flowing out. Igaram. Miss Wednesday shouts the name of Mr. 8, now known as Igaram, in surprise and worry. Igaram. Mr. 8 though, was completely clueless. Please run away, Igaram yells as sweat forms on his face. How futile. Miss Valentine says as she was suddenly on top of Miss Wednesday. Kyahahaha. She goes down, hitting Miss Wednesday's head using her right knee. Ah! Miss Wednesday shouts in pain as Miss Valentine laughs. Miss Wednesday's hair falls down while Miss Valentine goes back up in the air once again when Miss Wednesday attempted to hurt Miss Valentine. When she looked behind her, Igaram was shot. Ah! Miss Wednesday turns to Igaram, worrying about his health. Igaram falls with his head first, Igaram. The name of the spy is Igaram, the head of Alabasta Kingdom's royal guards. Miss Valentine pauses, and the second spy is none other than Alabasta's princess herself, Nefertari Vivi. Mr. 5 says, showing a picture of Miss Wednesday, or Vivi's picture. Vivi grits her teeth in anger. You monster! Why you were a princess, Miss Wednesday? Mr. 9 suddenly goes on his knees, his hands down, flat. Now's not the time for this, Mr. 9, Vivi shouts in anger. While the others were fighting, Zoro takes Sanji by Sanji's clothes collar. Geez, some noisy night this is. Zoro pauses as he goes away. Don't mind me, keep fighting amongst yourselves. Under the direct orders of our Baroque Works boss, we shall hereby eliminate you too, Mr. 5 says as he puts his index finger in his nose. Don't you underestimate me, Vivi shouts as she takes out her peacock slasher and spins it. Suddenly, Mr. 9 goes in front of Vivi. Ah. I may not exactly understand what's going on, Mr. 9 smiles, his bat on his hands, his pinky upwards. But you're still the same comrade in arms that I've partnered for a long time. I'll hold them off for you, so hurry up and run away, Miss Wednesday. Mr. 9 says as Vivi widens her eyes. Mr. 9. Vivi shouts his name, no need to be suicide. Bye bye baby. Mr. 9 shouts as he flips towards Mr. 5. Neketsu 9 konjou bat. Hot-blooded gutsy bat. Mr. 9. Vivi shouts his name, attempting to stop Mr. 9 for the last time. HMPH. The only thing that matters to us is the successful completion of our mission. Mr. 5 says as he takes out a booger. Such trivial things as compassion for one's comrades will only invite death. He positions the booger into a bullet-like position. Know your limits, knows fancy. RYAHHH. Mr. 9 cries as he attempts to finish Mr. 5 with a hit. Cannon. Mr. 5 yells as he flicks the booger, making it into an explosion. It surprised Vivi. Zoro's sweat drops. Damn, that's one dangerous booger alright. Suddenly, someone grabs his right leg. Ah, you again. Igaram looks at Zoro in the eye. Mr. Swordsman, seeing your impressive strength, please allow me to make an unreasonable request. Let me go. I ain't gonna help you just because you suck up to me, Zoro says as he tries to shake off Igaram, to no avail. Those two are ability users, and it is beyond my power to stop them. Please protect the princess in my stead. Igaram pauses. I beg of you. Karoo. Run for it, Vivi shouts as Karoo runs and quacks. She ran away, Miss Valentine says, putting her right hand to her hips. She can't escape from us, Mr. 5 says as he then next runs after her, Miss Valentine. Roger, Mr. 5. Kyahahaha, Miss Valentine says as she flies in the air once again. If you successfully send her back to Alabasta, a kingdom located far east, Igaram coughs. I swear you will be rewarded greatly. I beg of you, sir, please protect the princess. Zoro gets a tick mark of annoyance at his forehead. I'll kill you if you don't shut up. Greatly rewarded, you say? Zoro's soon sweat drops. Knowing it was Nami, she would be greatly interested. What? Hiram stops begging and looks at the girl who answered. Alright then, Nami says as she grins. How about a billion belly then, Nami? Zoro shouts as Nami was making things more worst for him.